Jason Bourne.
Welcome back to It's Gonna Be Great, and it's ladies' night. I don't have my song ready.
It's not night. It's
to
a
do like
union
whatever
fight.
I want.
Basically, for
Yeah.
5 minutes.
I like Megan Thee Stallion.
Hey!
Oh, you want me to be a little more ladylike? I'm gonna get my girls and beat your ass in ladies' night.
We
My
love
cat
the
can
cat.
come over.
We're joined with a special guest.
And like what your progression is.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Wilmington is like the Hellmouth
Hell no?
from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where it just draws people in.
I'm like a trash goblin, and you did a trash goblin dance. And
Trash sweep, where is trashful need to keep.
with film, you can't lie on camera. You can't cheat on camera. You have to be emotionally available and vulnerable and there, or the camera knows like that. It was like my job to call the fire department. And you're filling yourself up with all this light that's spilling out of your eyes, and you can feel this tangible connection with the other person. I need you to settle down.
No.
Whoa, Jason Bourne. Whoa.
I'm like,
What? Why did you just say Jason? I don't understand.
It's a joke that I picked up from back when I was a script supervisor, and we'd be standing like at Video Village, and like the camera operator would just be like fidgeting, and it would just go like shaky, and then she'd go, "Oh, Jason Bourne." So me just like futzing with it is like, "Whoa, Jason Bourne was with us."
I have no idea. We never know until about lunch. We call lunch in 30 minutes.
oh.
Yeah, it's like wait,
We're not gonna stop recording or anything.
yeah,
No.
You just stop and yell lunch.
We yell lunch and we have some snacks and if you want to go pee, you could pee.
Okay.
It's our time,
Yeah.
our time.
It's
to
a
do like
union
whatever I
fight.
want.
basically, for
Yeah.
5 minutes.
It's a
Okay.
union fight.
Yeah.
Type 5.
Yeah.
Type 5.
All right, guys. We got first team walking the set.
No,
Oh, let's get ready to settle.
She literally just walked away from set. She's a crafty.
Can we get her back, please?
Standing by.
Okay.
She's been invited 14 times.
Dangerously close, everyone. Dangerously close.
Guys, it's my bad. It's her stunt double I was talking to this entire
Oh my god. The amount of times that there's just been like the actor, a stunt double,
What?
and the like stand-in, and I'm just like,
I
they're
was-
multiplying.
I did something once where there were 4 of us because I was an acting double
Yeah.
on Legacies, and she had a twin in the episode, so they hired me.
Welcome back to It's Gonna Be Great, and it's ladies' night.
It's not night.
It's normally
It's
it's
the
ladies'
most
night, and the time is usually like it's ladies' night, and the time is right.
Right.
The only thing I can think that rhymes with day is gay.
It's a time.
I like Megan Thee Stallion.
Hey.
Oh, you want me to be a little more ladylike? I'm gonna get my girls and beat your ass in ladies' night.
Oh boy,
That works. Skylar, do you want to introduce our guest?
A lot of things right.
I think he should.
Gay. Not just gay.
May
Say.
play.
Hey. Tay.
Trey.
Right?
Into the fray.
Like,
Okay,
Please, hello.
to my right, which is both of these 2 wonderful individuals here, is just Farmer. She goes by Farmer though, don't tell her that.
That's correct.
AD, director, amazing human being. She's done some costume stuff in the past as well.
Not really. It's part of the origin
And
story.
then
but-
also to my right is Carrie Hunt,
Hello,
actress, director, producer,
etc.
yeah.
Yeah.
what are we calling you,
know
Fairy?
you
I thought we
mostly
were calling
as an actor. Though.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
my head, you're like an actor
Who does?
producer.
Yes.
Yeah, who kind of like gets the wonderful people together.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
That's accurate. Yeah. Who also can multitask if necessary to pay the
I
bills.
mean, that's.
Yeah.
I feel like for those of us who come from the indie world, that is kind of like what you learn how to do. Is like if you're learning how to bake, you're learning how to make a cake, right? And you have like nothing in your shitty college apartment. You're like,
Right.
okay, bare minimum.
Yeah,
I need
what
an
do I
egg.
need?
I need some flour. I need some sugar.
Yeah.
And then once you get on the big stuff, you kind of are like, okay, what happens if I have ganache?
Right. And
Ganache.
also if someone can go get that for me while I'm doing this other
Yes,
thing.
how can it help you
Yeah.
be more like efficient?
Right.
Because you kind of learn like what the individual hats are.
Right, and that you have a team, and so it's not taking you 2 hours, it's taking you 30 minutes because you're able to focus, and then everything's better because you're able to focus on your job.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually was yes,
Kitten,
little meower.
there's a
I
cat.
told you this would happen.
Petey.
Can I? May
We
I?
love the
Cat
cat.
can come over.
Main show,
Come here,
main
come
part
here.
of the show.
Do you want to be? What's the cat's name? Do we know? There's a cat. Everything will
I
stop.
forget.
With-
Paula.
She went to the back. Oh,
Cat's
there she is.
name. What's the cat's name? Cat.
Oh, this is Thor Day.
Thor Day.
Yeah, like Thor Day.
Thor.
Day.
Thor's Day.
That's
The
another.
female.
Thor Day
version.
rhymes with day.
Yeah, and his sister's Sunday, but fell like the ice cream.
Okay.
Hello.
Thor Day
And
Sunday.
we're joined with a
Sunday.
special guest.
So,
So are we calling you a fairy? Is
Carrie Ann. We're calling you Carrie Ann.
Not fairy.
No, I mean, I will.
Yeah.
You'll answer the fairy, but you don't go by it.
Bill really
Okay.
wants to go by his alter ego.
I think we need to reset. Back to one.
Back to one, everyone.
Resetting.
All right.
Because for me, you know, I would, you know, I'm an actor first, but then I'm also a producer, and I also write, direct, coach, all the
Yeah.
things. I was trying to play like the lead role and also produce at the same time, and you just can't do it because you're like sitting there and the back of your brain is going, did someone call catering? Is the food here yet? Where is Brian? How is this, you know, how is this happening? You're trying, and then you feel the need to go problem solve everything when really you need to be like focused on your connection as an actor, because it's such a difficult.
This was something that you were producing and acting at the same time.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Yeah,
But
it's
can we hear your origin stories? Can we hear like how you guys got started and like what your progression is? The cat's back.
That's okay.
Give me,
Perfect.
I'd love to hear like, you know, where you are. I want to get grounded with where you guys are, and then we'll have some more context for the rest of the conversation.
I'll let you go first
Oh God, why?
because I don't want to.
I don't want to either.
Repeating what you said to me earlier.
Who's
No,
the
but-
first AD at the table? The first AD goes first.
First AD and first team, though. We could rock, paper, scissors.
We
it.
could. Yeah. Okay. Let's.
All right,
Okay.
all
Still
right.
on camera.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay, fine. So way back ago, I started as an actor. Theater actor. I got an agent. I was in Wilmington, North Carolina, and then
I'm from Wilmington.
oh, really?
cool.
Dude.
I went to Hoggard.
Now you listen here. You listen here.
To Hogwarts?
Yes.
Hoggard High School. No, okay.
Go Vikings.
Every fifth person on the planet cannot be from Wilmington, North Carolina.
There's a lot of us. Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, anybody who's watching, Wilmington is like the Hellmouth
Hellmouth?
from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where it just draws people in. Like Michael Jordan, the basketball player, is from Wilmington. He played high school basketball there. Stephen King lives there.
Stephen King lives there?
I have been to Germany, and Germans know about like Wrightsville Beach.
Yeah.
It's barely a city.
It's
It is
so
barely
small.
a city,
It's so
and
tiny.
yet everyone is
It's so weird. It's weird, right?
so.
This is passionate.
It is.
about
It is
this.
It's kinda
bizarre.
strange.
Like honestly, just start asking people if they've ever been to Wilmington, North Carolina, and see how many answers you get. It's insane. Okay, whew, coming back
That's your
down.
Origin story.
So I was in Wilmington. I was acting, and then film kind of left North Carolina, and came down to Atlanta. So I was bored, and I'm like 5'7", so like taller for average, but still not that tall. But I got a chance to start modeling, and I was like, oh, let me see if I can do it. I don't know. Let me see if I can do it. So, I had fun. I walked in New York Fashion Week in like 4 shows, some of them in couture,
cool.
which was pretty cool. And when you are modeling, you try to build your book, so kind of like your resume.
Yeah.
So I would start to reach out to photographers and designers and be like, hey guys, you want to make something happen?
Time for print.
Basically, I started creative producing these shoots, but I didn't really know that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was just trying to solve a problem. And
That is literally the definition of a producer, by the way.
Yeah.
it's just,
Solving problems.
you're like,
That's
I
it.
don't really know what I do. I just solve problems.
Yes.
But I ended up liking styling, and then I was at this audition where this actor and a producer was saying that they were producing. It was an audition for something else, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I'm producing a feature," and I was like, "I would love to audition for it." He's like, "Well, all the roles are a little old for you," and I'm like, "Well, I need a job." I was like, "I can do costumes," and he goes, "Really?" And I was like,
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
yeah, sure, exactly.
I'll figure it out.
And how much experience with costumes did you have at this time?
I had just the photo shoots.
No, that's me
Okay.
too, though.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things that they were like, "Can you do that?" And I was like, "Yes." And
I'll
then-
figure it out,
And then,
like-
and then later,
That's
you're like,
how I've done
"I had to
everything.
figure it out now."
Yeah, that's so fun. Wait, it was an insane shoot. Like, we didn't have a first AD. It was just me and the poor DP just kind of like Voltroning together.
Yes.
And we barely had a script suit. We had to push a day because of a hurricane, and our lead actress had a hard out. Like, basically, we were then going to finish on a Tuesday, but she had a hard out of a Monday. She was like, what are we going to do? And I was like, don't worry, I'll figure it out. Yeah. I, invented block shooting. Like, not that I invented, but I was just like, hey guys, since we're already in the kitchen, why don't we just pick this? Yeah. And we wrapped a day ahead of schedule on principal photography. I'm still proud of that.
You should be, and it's amazing how many people like don't put thought into the way that they schedule things.
Yeah.
Like if you've got 4 scenes in the kitchen, do them at the same time.
But again, when you're doing things on such a small, like when everyone's wearing so many hats, and you don't have the ability to work efficiently sometimes. When it's like you just have to but
you just have to do it. Yeah, you just have to like get in there.
So my heart, I tell that story because my heart was always was always leaning towards the AD department. Though at that point, I was an actor. I've always been kind of a nervous, nosy busybody who wants to help people. So then, and I am crafty. I've done props. Like I was acting in something, and I was playing a witch.
Yes.
And I was like, what if I make my own wand? To help me get into character.
That's great, though.
I remember when I met you and we bonded over like our love of fantasy and all that stuff, right? And fairies and all that. You were like, I'm like a trash goblin, and you did a trash goblin dance, and that's
my god,
that's trash goblin.
Oh yeah,
there was a trash goblin.
dance. Is it the trash sweep song?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is a trash goblin?
Yeah, so you see,
What is that?
What happened?
It's me.
So you see,
sometimes I feel like a trash goblin.
Yeah.
You see, what actually happened was that I helped out with props. I the first foray into being an AD. I decided I wanted to move to Atlanta. I didn't know what else to do, and so I take like the Linda Burns class, and then I do like this internship at Crazy Legs. And there's a certain kind of, as we all know, insanity that happens upon you at like 3:30 a.m. in an overnight. And I was just like, didn't have good winter gear. I just was like, had 5 coats on and a blanket, and I was standing outside in a lockup, and now it's time to do a trash sweep because it was Crazy Legs, so we were also locations essentially.
Oh gosh.
And the song that came out of it is
trash sweep, where is trash for me to keep? Trash sweep, where is trash for me to keep?
That's a bop.
That's definitely 3 a.m. conversation. That's definitely, I've been there.
So that's
I resemble that remark.
The lyrics to this.
Oh, it's still up there.
That's something that like came from the cosmos into your brain.
Yeah, I was
It will just like download and live in you now.
See, I hate telling my origins because it's so just
we're all like that though. Anybody who's a multi hyphenate, which I'm like, oh, it's such a weird thing. Anybody who wears more than one hat, any like creator that does more than one thing.
Yeah.
We all have those, like, well, I was over here and I did this, and then somebody asked if I could do this, and I thought, sure, I can.
Yeah, and
I
you bring something from each of those. Like, I was a script supervisor for 6 features. Do not ever want to do that again. I shall not do it. I will not do it again. So much respect. It's not for my particular personality type.
Yeah. Why? I want to hear that experience.
So script supervisors, for those of you who don't know, they on smaller things can also kind of function as a creative producer, but they're in charge of the continuity. So they are there, they break down the entire script, and they understand like, okay, in this scene, these actors are here. These are these pieces that we need. It's important that he has his watch on here because he has to look at it in this other later scene. Mm-hmm. But they're also taking meticulous notes. They're watching the frame, and they're making sure that the editor and the director will have what they need to cut the movie together. Yeah. So they are kind of the like the director is just focusing on the kind of scene in front of them.
They're like the brain,
the long term.
The
memory.
cigarette's in the wrong hand.
Brain and memory. It's like
and also too, as an actor, if we paraphrase or something, nothing summons a script supervisor faster than if you paraphrase one of your lines, but for a good reason. They'll come over and they'll go, "Hey, Carrie Ann, you said this instead of this. Are you going to say this again?"
Yeah, exactly. Because it's oh my god, I would hate whenever it's like the actors would try something different in the master, and then you would have to ask the director basically to make a decision there. You're like, which version are we going to try to match?
Yeah.
Like that's but for me, I mean, if we're talking about like women on set, script supervisors are still the most female dominated position. 86% of all union script supervisors are women. Yeah. They are a department of 1, which you don't really see.
Yeah.
And so
it's a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. You're not listened to very much. And the thing is, too, is that it's hard.
Oh, people hate script supervisors.
They do. I've also
I've always loved them. I hate waiting on them at the end of the night. But
Oh, yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to because it's like it's
Well, by the-
everything on
well, by the
camera.
They're
time
the
you-
good cops, you know.
Well, and also by the
TV.
time, like, for as a director, it's like invaluable to
Mhm.
go back and look because they're going to also be marking you liked this
which
take.
takes-
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
to kind
You
of
liked
help
this
you.
take. The boom was in the
Those-
shot in this take, but the first half is
Those
usable.
little
You know,
arrow
that kind of
post-its.
stuff.
Exactly.
I love those little arrow
Yeah.
post-its.
Just kind of like
Covered-
doing that.
a covered
I've also
script.
seen it done completely digitally too, which was really fascinating.
Yeah, you've seen a lot more digitally.
Highlights.
But for
Yeah.
me, I just I as an AD, I really care about working the crew smart, not hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as a script supervisor, it was frustrating to me because it's like I was close enough to understand what was going into the sausage.
Yeah.
And, how it was being made. Like, I remember this one time it was this big scene, like 15, 16, 17, 18 was just like them sitting down, and then also like 17 was like what was happening on the stage, and this, and this. So we set up for just scene 17. Like, we spent all this time setting it up, and then what do you think happens? Then we do the exact same thing that we could have gotten. Like, then we go back in time, and I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
bro,
Why?
why?
Why did we do
It's
that?
so, it's like,
We have to go back.
Yeah,
to
stay in
Emotionally,
your
we have to turn around
setups. Yeah.
again.
emotionally, I was getting involved in I was caring about how the day was scheduled.
Yeah.
Which is just not a
Yeah.
good position to be in. Like, it was,
Yeah, it's not the right focus for a script supervisor.
Exactly, yeah. And so that's kind of why for me, but I will say the experience that I had, like you're talking about multi-hyphenates, I was able to understand how to break down a script as an AD so much quicker.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
It
Like,
helps you.
because I was
You can
already
see
doing
around
it.
the whole film.
Mhm.
You can see everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyways, long story, really freaking long. I was like, okay, script supervising not for me. I'm gonna go work in the AD department. I worked on a ton of really big shows, learning that, and then I had the opportunity to start ADing commercials and like Hallmark movies, like up in Connecticut and here, and like movies for BET. And I started directing. I've been directing music videos. I've been writing like features, and I've been directing shorts and doing all that good stuff.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
I'm still acting.
Yeah.
So that's
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell. Yeah.
big nut in a coconut shell.
Yeah, right.
That's nice. It's a nutshell.
Yeah.
I think I've done that 2 episodes now.
The nutshell
I
thing?
think so.
Is it now the nutshell dance?
The nutshell dance.
it's the
I like to
Austin
say long
Powers
story
one.
long.
Oh,
Long
yeah,
story
right.
long. Yeah, short story long.
Long story fractured is mine.
Oh yeah. All
All
right.
right. What about you? What's your?
Oh man.
What's your story?
If you don't go first, you
I
have to
know.
go second.
No, I know. What was funny is I was like, I'm going to be so relaxed by the
Second,
time we get
second.
to me, and then as you near the end of yours, I was like,
Don't
I
take on her energy. Have
Yeah, I
your
know.
own. Oh.
Gasp.
gasp the accusation. How dare you? I have been I'm primarily I consider myself an actress, but I also have done modeling. I also write, direct, produce, edit sometimes when I need to. I don't have all the big setup, but I have edited small projects for. I'm also a private coach and an industry consultant. I have one of my kids, he's like 14, that I coach, and he's a little filmmaker, and he makes these little documentary shorts about autism and how circus arts have helped him grow.
That's amazing.
And they're really amazing, and we've won a bunch of awards, and I've edited them in iMovie and somehow made it, so because it's a little documentary short, so they're like 8 minutes long.
Get him started early.
No, he's an incredibly talented kid, but and I'm also editing a graphic novel
That's
right
cool.
now.
Yeah.
So
One that you wrote? Are you editing someone
no,
else's?
I'm doing story development and editing with an author
Okay.
that has hired me to do that with.
I'm
her.
going to write a graphic novel, so maybe I'll
Yeah.
hire you.
Okay, call me.
Are you
Or type to
gonna
me or something.
Draw? Are you gonna
Um,
hire a full artist to do
I don't know if you know
all
that I do draw. I don't know if you
Oh,
know.
that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
sketch and I...
That's cool.
Whatever.
Yeah, the author that
Photoshop.
I'm working with is also an illustrator, so she's gonna write it and illustrate it, and then I'm just helping her. Right now, she's in her treatment stage, so we're going through the story and making the story really dynamic, and then she's gonna get into putting it down into a script. I've also written on some comics. Some digital comics as well. I work now. Well, I'll say this and then we'll go backwards.
Yeah.
I am technically, this is going to sound super fancy and
Sorry.
it makes me feel like But it's like, here comes my imposter syndrome.
Put your pinky in the air.
Are you ready? This is my imposter syndrome. Are we all ready?
Yes.
I am the head of studio development at Meta Studios.
Oh, the head of...
The head of studio development.
We're talking to a head of studio development.
Right, which sounds super fancy, but we're all just trying to get money like everybody else to make our movies, right?
You want this chair?
No.
Nice.
No. But really, you know, I work. That's my like in-house title, and then when I'm on set, I'm a producer, and sometimes I'm also an actor. And the person who runs Meta Studios is Paul Jenkins, who worked for Marvel for a long time, and is really prolific and lovely. And he was my mentor for a long time, and then he hired me, which is really great. So I've been learning to do a lot of like talking about like expanding things. Like he's been teaching me to write comics. You know, like I write scripts, and he's teaching me to write comics. And
Also, you and him were just like, in my head, it was like 4 a.m. and like you and him just like looked over at each other, just like who's online? Because I feel like I just see like it's like whenever I just be on like an overnight, like you don't drink coffee, but you are a creature of the night, and so is he.
Yes.
I feel like it's just that's always in my head.
Yeah, he calls us Thunder Buddies.
Yeah,
because he's an insomniac and I'm just awake at night. I'm not an insomniac, but I am frequently.
You choose to be. You're just you're not.
I'm frequently like creatively awake at night, and so which is really funny. But yeah, that's absolutely true. But as far as how I got started, so I've been an actor pretty much my entire life. My grandmother was the national president for American Women in Radio and Television.
Wow.
Which is pretty amazing.
That's amazing.
She was she was a pioneer. She was one of the first women on the radio in South Carolina.
What?
My favorite story about her is that her very first job, because she started as a copywriter and then she got to be an on-air personality as well. And she went to the station and they said, "Oh, we already have a woman writer." Right? Like
just one. That's all we need.
I'm so sorry.
But this is what's so great is she said, "Well, I'm better," and she was, and they hired her. You know,
but I do think that's.
And I was like, God, the confidence.
Yeah.
But I do
the
think that's
ovaries.
Interesting because
right, the cojones.
I still think you see that to this day, where it's the idea that it's like they're
we hired one.
Yeah, like, and so I think that's where you see so much competition that it feels like between women in this industry, where it's like it's like, oh, if there's another woman, she's going to replace me because the wider industry has decided we only have these many seats that are able to be filled. Not that it's like we're going to open it
That's
up.
Okay. I'm building a
I
table,
love where you
baby.
guys are talking.
I'll
No, this is great.
Yeah, no, but I'm going to get back. I'm going to get back on topic.
Yeah,
I'm going to get back on topic though. So I've been an actor my whole life, pretty much, like since I was a kid. The very first thing I can remember doing outside of like little school stuff was my dad was working for an ad agency that was doing a local bank commercial, and so I got to like sing a jingle in front of him.
You were raised in the industry,
and it kind of and then I started doing theater and dance, and I fell in love with Shakespeare and did a lot of that. I got to when I was in high school.
Hamlet.
I never have not done Hamlet. I've done a lot of them, but not. Yes, I've done 12th Night twice. Once as Viola, once as Olivia.
24th Night.
Ooh.
Yeah, 24th Night.
I think that's Love Labor's Lost.
No, I did. I played.
No one knows about that show.
I do. I played.
Wait.
That's a great show.
Why do we all know about like the show that no one knows about?
Because we're nerds.
That is
moving on.
I'm also a theater nerd.
Yeah.
Insane.
So,
sorry.
But yeah, so I did 12th Night twice. That's the only one I've done twice.
I've done it 12 times. Actually.
But it was an interesting experience actually to do this as a sidebar to do it twice. Oh, the cat wants to go outside. Let the cat live its best life so that we can have our bye kitten.
Thank you.
Bye, kitten. Kitten has kitten adventures.
Thank you.
But it was interesting to do that show twice, a couple of years apart, and to play Olivia the first time and Viola the second time. It was such an interesting perspective shift, and it was really fun and artistically fulfilling to be able to do a show twice from different vantage points as an actor.
That's tough.
But
Shakespeare too.
Yeah, no, but that's like my I did 12th Night and Richard III at the same time in
Richard
rotating
III?
rep. Yeah. I played Lady Anne and Richard III and Violet in 12th Night.
Isn't it like full of monologues? Like long as...
Not for the women, because the women aren't on stage nearly as much as the men.
Okay.
But I played Lady Anne in 12th Night. Oh my God. Lady Anne and Richard III and Violet in 12th Night at the same time in rotating rep. So I was rehearsing them at the same time and doing one on Friday night and one on Saturday night. I didn't speak to anybody for like 3 months. I was like, I can't talk to you unless it's
I'm tired of words.
I was like, I can't speak to you unless it's an iambic pentameter, so it's for the best.
Yeah.
Just let me.
You won't understand a word I say.
You won't understand a word I say, and that was interesting because I definitely at some point made a choice to start doing television and film, because the first time I got on camera, I remember feeling like I could exhale. Because, theater is such a full body, like, event, you know, you're projecting your voice, you're really, it's really difficult, and film is difficult, too, they're difficult, that's another topic for another time, but the foundation is the same, but there are differences in the medium, and they have their own rewards and challenges, like each one does, like with film, you can't lie on camera, you can't cheat on camera, you have to be emotionally available and vulnerable and there, or the camera knows like that, and everybody feels lied to. On stage, if you're having a moment where you're like not quite in it, you can fudge it a little bit with your voice or your body language or something like that, because they're not here with you.
You're seeing right into your soul.
But then, Anywho, I started doing film, TV and film, and I felt like this is where I belong. It was one of those things where I was like, I feel like you can tell bigger stories. I love the immersion. I love all of the elements coming together with, the cinematography and the score and, just all of the artists that it takes to come together to make this beautiful visual picture. And it's the same with theater. It's just I feel like you can do a lot more with film than with theater, but I think that's maybe, I don't know if that's true. I'm going to argue with myself. I'm like, is that true? I don't know.
It absolutely is true. When it comes to
but theaters can be really transformative too, because I saw when I got to in high school, I performed in the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in Scotland. Yeah, just
Why am I here?
We did a Commedia dell'arte show.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Which is where we get pants from.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Is it?
Yeah. There was a character. So Commedia dell'arte was
Pantalone.
Yeah, Pantalones was like SNL at the time, where they were kind of like stock characters.
Yeah, they're like all the characters are basically stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very slapstick. It's very like the show was called A Company of Wayward Saints, and it's about a troupe of actors who are broke and have to perform the entire history of man in 2 hours for this duke to be able to get home. And it's so much fun. So when we were over there doing that, we saw a show called The Cripple of Inishmaan. It's the same author or the same playwright who wrote Banshees, the movie that Banshee.
Oh, of Inisherin.
Yeah, yes, it's the same person. There's a show called the Cripple.
It's so weird.
There's a couple. There's a show called The Cripple of Inishmaan, and I remember seeing it at the Royal National Theatre in London.
Yeah.
When we were there, and it took my breath away the way that they were able to, because it takes place on a cliff. And they had like water reflections on the wall and the sound of the ocean and the way that the set was built and the commitment of the actors. It's gonna make me cry. You were
I do have to say,
feel like you're there.
I do have to say it's interesting though, because I think that on average, film can can have more truth in it on average.
I think so.
But
yeah.
when theater works,
when it hits it.
When it works, it hits you in such because they are real people in front of you.
Yeah.
And I remember shows that I've seen for years.
Oh yeah, no, that one sticks with me.
It
sticks with you because when you're in the room, you're having this shared experience. It's only going to happen that one time. Nobody else will ever experience that again. And it's this like chilling kind of ephemeral thing that you're like, wow, I'm part of this like liminal space where this beautiful thing is happening, right?
I think it's like the difference between sculpture and painting. The difference between film and like theater, where they're kind of inherently different crafts, acting wise,
right? A bit, yeah.
When it comes to theater, I've been to shows where I've watched the same show multiple times as being part of the ensemble or something, and then seeing one performance where you're just like, everything else before that was just rehearsal.
Yeah.
This was the show.
Yeah, and
when it comes to film though, you get to do that over and over again, and then pick out
and then cherry pick the best ones. Yeah, and what's interesting too that I found, because when I coach actors, and one of my feel like my strengths is taking a theater actor and teaching them how to be on camera.
Yeah.
You gotta bring them down, right?
It's not. Sometimes it's that, but more than that, it's pacing. Because on stage, if it's quiet, something's wrong. Sometimes.
Oh. Yeah.
So theater actors, when they get on camera, right?
Finish.
And
We got.
yeah, I know.
we
I
have a
gotta
whole
finish my
hour.
origin story. We're like
yeah,
way
yeah.
off.
Oh,
my origin
We're at lunch.
I know.
She's trying to call lunch in the middle.
Oh,
of
in the middle of.
trying to interrupt.
Yeah, I can.
Hey,
I
our
can. I can
guests.
like. We can rein it back in, and I can go back to my origin story.
I mean, we have to save the second half for hate. There's been so much love in this first half.
Why
But
do
I
we-
do want to wrap up. There's
Yeah.
been a lot of love. Yeah, because
was
this
like-
show is
That's
about.
his thing.
Okay.
No.
Well,
this show
yeah.
is about the crud and the harshness and how
That's
to
true.
mitigate the
Right.
film industry.
Okay. Well, let
we
me.
have to get to that.
All right. Well, let me. Before we go to lunch, let me like rein
Going
myself
into
back
grace.
in.
We're going into grace, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grace. Let's put a definition for grace, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Please finish.
Okay. So anyhow, when I was over in Scotland performing, that's when I knew that was what I was going to do with the rest of my life, because it was there was just something that hit me then that I was like, this is what I'm doing with the rest of my life. So I have a degree in theater and dance, and then I started doing television and film, and was fortunately able to do really well there. But then I fell into producing kind of by accident, actually. Because I did an independent film that was a period piece, which is like my heart, right? Called Wesley, that was a biopic about the founder of the Methodist Church, which sounds super snoozy, but it was based on his private journals, so it was actually pretty interesting.
Cool.
I played his like star-crossed love interest, and I really bonded with that whole like cast and crew. And then they were going to be doing another movie, and I found out that they were going to be filming on an 18th century tall ship replica in Nova Scotia, and I was like, "Can I go?"
Yeah.
And they were like, "Well, this one's non-union. I'm SAG-AFTRA, and this one was non-union." And they were like, "And there's really not a role for you in it. It's mostly men on a boat." And I was like, "Got it." I said, "Well, can you just give me a job then? Can I just come?"
Yeah.
So they said, "Okay." And then to get me through customs,
They put you in a bag.
I was gonna say the same thing.
to get me through customs, they made me a producer on paper, because in Canada at the time anyway, because you're considered there to
Like a visa?
to make jobs. You're creating jobs when you go there, right?
Okay.
So I got through, and I got my first producer credit on and that was a 10-person crew filming a period piece feature film. We were on an 18th century tall ship in the middle of the night. I know. It was like my job to call the fire department and go, "Hey, so if anyone calls you and tells you the boat is on fire, it's not. It's just lights and smoke. Unless it's me. If I call you, please
I'm
come."
getting like sympathetic,
Yeah,
like war
like,
flashbacks.
right.
Like I'm just
Full
like,
No,
crew?
and
Did
that-
you have locations manager?
No, I was doing. I walked the town looking for extras. Me and the makeup artist.
hey, you want to be in a movie?
Yeah, because it was like that. Because
Yeah.
it was
I like
it was
your
this
style,
it was
Jen.
this tiny little town.
Gotta be
This
a star.
tiny little town. And so we were like, we need sailors on the boat. Let's all right. And I took the makeup girl with me because I was like, I cannot do this by myself
Yeah.
and feel safe.
Yeah.
So but it was like this. Everybody was super nice.
Yeah.
Everybody in the town had contributed to rebuilding this replica. So they were all super
And then
jazzed,
you guys brought
jazzed
Brits in.
about
The whole
it.
town,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, well, and like
Yeah.
I got local kids from a theater department. I wrote them a note so that they could be on set with us. And
Like a
No.
doctor's
yes,
note?
oh yes, I wrote them a note saying that they were learning and that they were learning
Yeah.
a skill and that they were learning a craft and that they were going to be on camera and also helping us behind camera, because it was only like a few crew people and a lot of us were women, and I was like, I cannot heft that thing around.
Yeah.
And so we got some people in there, but I did everything from helping with hair and makeup to sweeping the beach so there weren't modern footprints on it, to sitting
I
there
wouldn't even think about
to
that.
like negotiating with the guy who was power washing across the street.
I
'cause we
will
could
give you
hear him.
$50 to shut up. For
No,
the
I
next
just
30
I
minutes.
just went over and
no
I'd go around and
locations.
be like, "Hey, so we're filming on the ship. Oh, you're filming on the ship. Oh, I helped build that." And I'd say, "Okay, cool. So if I go like this, will you just stop for a minute?"
I was
Definitely
on a
different
Hallmark
there.
movie, and we were filming in the middle of this like town square, this like little village, and we didn't have enough PAs, so I had the townspeople lock themselves up.
Oh my
I was
God.
like,
Hilarious.
"Hi everyone, so we're gonna be filming right here, and you guys can stand there. It's perfectly awesome. But if we're rolling it and someone walks through, then we can't make this Hallmark movie. So if you guys hear us saying rolling, if you can just keep everybody kind of on that side of the building, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, and they were good. Yeah, no. Well, so
I've never had that much power.
yeah,
That's amazing.
It's like it's a Jedi mind trick for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, no, you just
I'm not good.
Yeah.
today.
No. Well, so anyhow, I did. That was my first producing job, and then I
Yeah.
sort of started.
what a way to start.
I know, and then I know it was like I mean, it was full contact sports. You know, it was like I was wearing they were like, well, what'd you do on set? I was like, literally everything. Like anything that needed to be done.
Described 4 different
You know,
departments just now.
you just did everything, right? So so I did that, and then I you know, continued on with my acting career. I was in North Carolina, and then I was in Los Angeles, and then I came to Atlanta, and then I ended up staying because I was working and working as an actor. But then also, you know, I got tired of seeing all of these fantasy films with petite brunettes with long hair that weren't me, and I was like, you know what, I want to do some of my own stuff. So I started my production company, Fairy Path Productions. And Fairy Path, and don't get too excited. Everything's still way in development. Unless somebody out there wants to give me a couple $1 million, you know, DM me.
Yeah,
me too. DM us all.
Yeah, right.
I can use a couple mil.
Right. But I started that, and I started working towards making what I eventually want to make, and I got to be on a panel with some of my like absolute heroes, some of the concept artists for Labyrinth and the Dark Crystal.
I'm
Are
jealous.
you serious?
I'm jelly.
I was on a panel.
Super jelly now.
Yeah. I mean, like the movies and the series, because the same people.
Yeah.
The Frouds, who are incredible. I've got my Labyrinth door knocker earrings on. But I was on a panel with Toby and Wendy Froud and Holly Black, who wrote the Spiderwick Chronicles.
Oh, I know who Holly Black is. Also, the author of Tithe and The Coldest Girl in Cold Town.
Yes. I took 2 master classes from her in writing, and then I was on a panel with her. So I started doing all that stuff. So I started initially writing and producing because I realized I was good at it from that first experience, and I was like, oh, I'm good at this, and I'm good at problem solving. I'm really resourceful. I'm a creative producer. I can't find you money, but I can make the most out of the money that you have. And I'm really resourceful, and so it just kind of tumbled into that because I wanted to start making my own stuff. And then I started producing and directing and all the things and writing and stuff for other people as well, you know, and that just kind of snowballed. The comics thing, the graphic novel stuff is very new, and that's a new skill that I'm learning because we all have to just keep hustling and keep moving. I was an acting coach between 2 studios, Atlanta Orchestra Players and Catapult Acting, for a long time, and then I started getting enough work as a producer and doing writer, producer, director, actor things that I was able to pull back from that. So I still do like private coaching and stuff like that, but like virtually, but it's not my focus anymore. But I did learn a lot about acting from coaching people. You know, you learn, and also from I frequently cast under my producer umbrella. I don't like to be listed as a casting director because it feels like a conflict of interest, especially if it's something that I'm pre-cast in, right? So, but I learned a lot from that too, of like what's really important and what really does not matter, and you should just take a deep breath and like get on with it about. So that's kind of, so now, and I also for several years was the co-chair of a volunteer committee with our local SAG-AFTRA office, where I helped educate independent filmmakers about all of the SAG-AFTRA contracts, because they're doable, especially if you've just got a short film or a little web series or something, and they're super easy. And I want to elevate and educate our community so that we can continue to rise up.
You're in the right place.
I really want to touch on that. What you said.
Can we touch on that after lunch?
Oh, give me 45 seconds. 45 seconds
during lunch.
Meal penalties.
My least favorite segment.
It's your least favorite segment.
Going into 5-minute lunch where we still end up having conversations on camera.
Well, that's recording. You're doing. Sir.
So I have a question too.
I guess the final thing I want to say is that elevating. When you talk about that, is that I still see such a glass ceiling, specifically in Atlanta, because I see that you still have so much development that's happening in LA and in New York. And something that I'm so excited about is, people like yourself, like what I'm trying to do, where we're trying. People like us is showing that it's like there is a creative community here in Atlanta. We have the ability to be creating stuff and having directors and DPs that are here, and you can save money by not having to fly them in.
Yes, and we can also after our 5-minute lunch, we can talk about. I've been told it's now being called the geographic disparity that's how we're talking about it
That's
now
a good
instead
way to
of
put it.
you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
which is a whole can of worms that we can talk about after lunch. But you know, it's that whole thing where it's like
Do
we're
you want to have lunch with me and we talk about this steering lunch?
Yeah.
we can do whatever.
So why would you
Okay,
not do
I
lunch?
do have to. Okay,
Yeah,
point
let's
of order
Just
though.
never do it again.
Point of
While
order.
working
ADs.
I mean, you know.
No, ADs don't get lunch.
we
So
do French
ADs. No, actually, point of order.
Yeah.
So IATSE members and SAG members are entitled to a 30-minute like they cannot have more than an hour deducted. They cannot have less than 30 minutes for a lunch. However, ADs actually, per their contract, they do not have a lunch deducted because you're always talking through lunch. You're
that's
always
true.
scheduling.
Yeah.
So ADs never break for lunch.
And sometimes,
Neither do directors.
and sometimes I worked on, my role was cut from the final film, but I had a supporting role in Hillbilly Elegy, and got to work with Ron Howard. Right?
I was in.
We had a rehearsal. Wow. We had a rehearsal day. Like, I know, I see the Frozen, like, we had a rehearsal day because it was Ron Howard and Netflix, and they had the money to do it. And because he's been an actor before and he understood, like, because my character's name was
amazing.
Yeah,
I love when you have rehearsals.
I know. My character's name was Audrey. She was a member of the main guy's friend group at college. And then they decided to make him more of a fish out of water by having him not have all those friends.
Friends, who needs them?
But Ron Howard emailed me personally and told me that I had been cut from the film and how much he loved working with me and that he would work with me again. And I thought that was so classy because most of the time you find out when you watch it.
Yeah.
You don't get the courtesy paid to you for that. But we did a working lunch. Everybody did. The cast did, and everybody. You know,
I've done that before to ADs where like. Oh, I was at this fitting for this commercial, and like the other fittings had run over, and they were really like the poor like costume designer and her assistant were just like, oh my god, like it really truly was like 35 looks and like 15 minutes,
gosh.
and like the second AD was like, I have to break you, and I looked and I was like, I've been broken.
Yeah,
like
right.
So that's like it, you know.
Well, and
no,
also
it's saying I understand that my lunchtime starts now. We're not going to incur meal penalties. I'm gonna. It's
and
okay.
Because I'm looking over.
Well, and what
over
and
here
see what we
I
did,
broke it.
but see like
we're not doing lunch
But
anymore.
see what we did but see like with Hillbilly Elegy, we had a working lunch, but I did get meal penalties.
Yeah.
So and honestly, I was like, you know what, I'm not mad about it because they did it in such a lovely way where they just had, you know, a PA came up to us and asked us what we wanted. And they brought us food because there's enough time between setups and stuff because they were doing some different camera setups and they timed it correctly so that, you know, we had time to just eat a little bit and then go back
to have lunch during the snack.
You know, but then you get like it was like $400 in meal penalties.
Yeah,
so I was like
nice.
I will take that.
We're paying meal penalties now.
Yeah.
Okay, listen. All right, we're gonna break. All right, we're making an executive decision.
All right, guys, we got that.
They're making an executive
that
decision.
we're gonna break for lunch for 5 minutes.
Thank you for your patience, everyone.
Here we go.
5 minutes.
Oh
We
yeah.
got some things. It was a whole thing.
They have
What
like
is it?
wine and snacks.
Recording.
I did not bring any.
Oh, I have all the food allergies, so I would probably not be. Well, maybe I can eat the bananas.
Oh, I can't eat bananas. I didn't know they aren't supposed to be sour. I thought that bananas were like pineapple, where they make your tongue tingle.
What is this? Oh no.
Banana.
See, I'm like,
Yeah, that's got, bro. We've got.
You know Ryan Thomas?
yes.
He's asking about you.
What is he saying? Hi, Ryan. Is he still there? Hi.
He said, wait, is that Carrie Ann?
I was just saying.
It is Carrie Ann. Is it Ryan Thomas, like Ryen?
I didn't know about any of that.
Yeah, no, Ryan directed me in an indie feature film, and he's a lovely human.
We went to college together.
Oh,
Oh, hell yeah.
at NCSA?
Yeah.
Oh,
Go
dude.
Pickles.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
Pickles.
I did a,
I went to the school of science and math, so.
I went to Governor's School for the Arts that had some NCSA people. But yeah, no, Ryan's great. He was a fantastic director, and he should do more of that.
Yeah, he's strange. You know he loves those Q-tips. Those in his ear.
Planning on drinking.
I love
Oh.
Q-tips.
Yeah, he makes a weird face.
I
Ryan
don't.
makes a weird face. He goes,
How did we get here?
I
yes,
didn't
I got the
want
one.
to do this.
Oh, it's just wrong. But it's
I wasn't
not-
planning on drinking today.
So we have a conversation
Yeah.
about consent.
I mean,
Yeah, I want to get to that too. I also wanted to.
This is the wine
I also
coordinator.
wanted to go back to your casting experience.
Oh, yeah, we-
chemistry.
we have to get to the
Yeah, we
negative
got-
side. We cannot
Yeah, that's exactly
not
what
do
I'm
this
talking
without go into the
But you know what? Like,
craftiness of it.
We're in
But-
lunch right now.
but the casting starter thing has both positives and negatives,
Yeah.
and we can talk about both.
Yeah.
Negative
Yeah.
Nancy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also want to
Positive
mention something
Pat.
with talking about coming from theater to film, and I think that I heard the idea that you need to bring it down, and that actually negatively affected me as an actor for a while because then I started playing everything tired.
Don't get too
I don't know what,
excited.
like that's like the kind of default was
To
tired
fall into more of a subtlety as opposed to
Well,
that.
because I think
Because they don't explain it to you well. This
Yeah.
is like, as a coach, I would run into this because I would be like, you know,
Would
this-
y'all like to have sake?
yes.
yeah, sure.
That's how you do
Yes, because it's in a tiny cup
Oh,
and
I
it's
know.
just
I wish you would
really
have told me
cute.
earlier how to do it because I didn't know.
But
a small
You should
girl.
have
I
done it.
have
I
small
have
girl.
You should have done it yourself.
I have small.
I didn't
small-
know about
it's
this
small.
until.
But-
It was on
but
the
yeah,
in
I mean,
front of you here.
Boys,
That's not-
Guys,
Speak up a little
boys,
bit. You'll-
boys.
I mean, volume one.
Okay.
Okay,
Sure.
this is why there's women on the show because we're like,
Thank
That's
you.
actually, yeah. I have something to say about my shushing method. There's actually a philosophy that goes into
You
it.
know-
I would love to know this secret because
Okay.
we'll talk about this
Yeah.
later. But I've been on sets before where I will say something and absolutely no one will listen to me, and I will have to turn to a man and say, "Could you please say the exact same thing that I said?"
So
then
yeah,
they listen.
we'll put a pin in my shushing philosophy.
Yeah,
but let's talk
what
about
I was
your-
going to say about the theater thing is that what I found. Oh, thank you. Oh, look. Oh, it's. I bet it's going to taste like nail polish remover. Great.
I certainly hope that.
That's fine.
So anyways,
Anyway.
Thank you.
So anyhow, what I sort of started telling coaching clients of mine, because they would come in and they'd go, I was told to do nothing,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm like, what they're really telling you is that you have to. It's not that you're not doing anything. It's that your inner life is so active
Yep.
that you're full, right?
Yes,
It's like
inner
it's like
life, I don't
you know,
understand.
May I agree with you?
Yeah.
Very quickly in my own words.
Yes.
I feel like with theater.
To our guests.
Oh.
Yay!
Post.
Skull.
Skål!
Slancha.
Kampai!
Slancha. I was right. That's right. I was
Sante.
there. Slanchamur. That means good health.
So,
Yeah.
if I may agree with you in my own words, I feel like the kind of goal of theater that you have to learn is how to make yourself
That's strong.
is how to make yourself be understood to the very back row. So it's it's not really telegraphing, but
Yeah.
fully embodying that. Whereas with film acting, it's all about the subtext. So
Yes.
I'd always it's
Yeah.
like say. Like, you need to be saying the lines, but in your head, you need to be saying a sentence that is different than the words coming out.
Or it's more like, yes. And for me, I think it's like, if somebody said encapsulate film acting in one word, I'd say listening.
Oh,
Listening.
yeah, of course.
That's it. You know, that's it. Like, it's so simple.
Reactions.
It's so simple, but it's like, because I think the beauty of film is that you don't really ever hit autopilot, like is the danger of film. When I did Richard III, I had done a lot of film, and then I came
Yeah.
back and did Richard III, and it was such an interesting experience because it liberated me on stage completely. Because what I learned was that, or what I carried with me from film into working on that show, was that I could let each night be its own thing. And I didn't try to recreate moments, you know, like in the very beginning we opened with Richard and Anne like having this horrible fight at, you know, at the funeral and all that stuff. And some nights I would start and I would be sobbing and it would be this, you know, crying thing, and then some nights I'd be really pissed off at him, and I gave myself the freedom to be there in the film taught me to be in the moment
Yeah.
more than theater, which seems funny because theater is live.
Yeah.
But film is so close and so intimate,
Yeah.
you know? And so I think when, like, for theater actors out there, if you're just getting into film and they tell you to do nothing, you know, it's like, think of yourself as a light, and you're filling yourself up with all this light, and it's spilling out of your eyes, and you can feel this tangible connection with the other person.
Or what are
Because-
you thinking about? Like, what's in
Yeah,
your head?
yeah.
How do you feel? Like,
And the answer is not your next line.
if
Please
No,
don't.
yes,
no.
there
Yeah,
should be
yeah.
like there should be a screen in your forehead. Like if I was able to see into your
Right.
head, and there should be a scroll of just something that is different than the lines that you're saying.
And for me, that's not quite how I approach
Yeah.
it, but because for me, then that would put me in my head and I'd be so confused.
Yeah. Oh, that's
yeah.
there's
Because for me,
Yes.
it's so intuitive for me, and I've been doing it forever. So
Mm-hmm.
there's that. But for me, it's all about, you know, being in this moment with you and feeling what's in the moment between
Yeah.
us, and having like the reactions like you would have in real
Mm-hmm.
life. You know, like if we're in an argument then when I'm listening to you, I might be thinking, I can't believe you just said that, you know? But what I say is, okay.
Yeah.
Right? And
your face shows the
yeah, but your face shows that like I'm biting my tongue.
But you know what
right?
I think is so.
But that's your homework. That's what you do before you show up. When
oh my God!
When you show
being
up,
prepared, you should know your job.
Right. Well, and being prepared is like knowing your lines is the bare minimum. And I have some stories about that. I know. I hear you. I can hear your brain. But knowing your lines is the bare minimum. But also like being able to. It's that cliche of being able to throw it all away and be in the moment because all that script analysis, all that like, what am I really saying? What do I really mean? Let's paraphrase the scene with what we're really thinking. All of those things, that's your homework. You don't bring that to set with you. You bring
just be able to have fun.
You trust your work. You trust that you've done the analysis and the work, because if you try to stick too hard to that, then if you do something different than what I imagined you might do, then my reaction doesn't match anymore. So, you know,
Meisner.
So
Meisner.
I love Meisner. He's got my favorite definition of acting ever, which is behaving truthfully under imaginary circumstances.
Yes. I do want to say, though, I'm going to generalize a bit here, but I do think that there's something useful in it, whereas I think there's, in general, two different types of actors. There are actors who are more kind of emotionally driven, and there are ones who are a little bit more like analytically driven. Right. And I think that there's different kind of ways of working with them as a director or working with yourself as an actor. And that's part of the craft of being a director, is figuring out how to talk to them. Because for me, I am a more analytical type like actor.
Yeah, and see, I'm an intuitive actor.
What does that mean though? Because I don't understand. I understand that emotional, but analytical. What does that one mean?
That means that, like, I don't know, a type of feedback that I could get that would not work for me from a director is like, I need you to play this a little bit more sad, or I need you to like feel like this. Or I've had directors that try
and that doesn't work for me either, to be honest.
Or have you had directors try to hype you up almost? They're like, imagine this, you're feeling so sad, you know, and like this is all, and I'm like, no.
And see, what I do as a director is like,
what's a different intention, you know?
Yeah, like let's say that you were like playing the scene a little mean, and I would come to you and say, listen, it's not about, you're not angry, you're disappointed.
Yeah, try to be saying I'm disappointed.
Wheel?
Yeah, right. Yeah, the emotional wheel,
and
then
you've gotten the
it's the nuance of it. Yeah. And you cannot play an emotion, and if you do, you're just being indulgent, and nobody wants to watch you roll around on the floor and cry for 20 minutes. I promise.
Thank you.
Please, also, if you're an actor out there, for your demo reel, please, no, like 5 minutes of you crying. When I'm looking at that, I go, okay, no, you know, it's not a thing.
I'll raise you one.
Yeah.
Crazy people don't know that they're crazy. The amount of self-indulgent actors that I've seen that have been like trying to do the Jack Nicholson, which only Jack Nicholson can do. The thing is about crazy people is they think that they're sane, and that everyone else try to convince me.
Yes.
Try don't try to play something. Try to convince me.
And that's the thing. It's like you can't play drunk. You can't play angry.
You have to try to convince somebody that you're sober.
And also,
you have to try to convince
and like
somebody.
when I coach actors, we talk a lot about intention is a big one for me. Intention and the relationship. The relationship to the other person is a big one, because we talk to people differently. You know, I talk to my sister differently than I talk to you, than I talk to the postman. You know, and like, where am I?
Postman?
Sometimes.
Yeah, you know, she lives in 1950s America.
I mean, yeah.
Speaking of talking to the postman, I'd love to talk to the audience real quick and just say,
he hates us.
Hey, everybody! Before we come back in from lunch, which is actually
we're still at
30
lunch.
seconds ago, I want to give a shout out to Anya Morris, who was recovering in the hospital. Shout out to her. Much love. She was supposed to be here today, but because of that, she couldn't make it. Also want to give.
I did not know about that.
You did know about
now
that.
You do.
I also want to give a shout out to Secret.
Secret
Harris.
Yeah,
we love you, Secret.
I hope she's doing well as well. We're at filmscribe.press. Come by the website. Come check out the previous episodes, etc., etc. And also, we're back in.
We're back in.
All right, guys, back in.
As you were.
So I want to talk about my philosophy when it comes to shushing.
Let's talk about shushing.
Let's get real negative. Yeah.
So
I need you to settle down.
No. This is about you're already doing it.
Hey,
Please continue.
I think for so when it comes to shushing, right? I do not abide someone going shh. No, that is so like
rude.
but it's hard if you know like as an AD, if you're telling PAs, you know, if I've been a PA and an AD's telling me like, all right, let's settle people down,
Right.
You know, or like, so like, hey guys, shh, 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 shh. Like that's one like,
that's
I have a patented shush. Here's the thing, I know we want to get negative, but I truly believe that, you know, in general, everybody on set, they're there to try and do their job. Like, no one's a bad guy.
Cell phones off.
And to
All right,
leave
guys.
as soon as
Sorry.
Let's silence our cell phones.
I don't think
But what
mine do.
happens is that when you're, let's say we're in a set like this, you know, a smaller environment, and you have everybody standing around, they're trying to talk about what they're doing, and then the voices just raise and raise and raise and raise.
Yeah.
So what I do is, it's almost like a meditation. So if everyone's, I go,
Yeah, that's nice.
and what you're doing is that it's taking the energy, because that's all about being in a, like, I think a leadership position on set, being an AD, being a director or producer, even like an actor, is that it's like you are setting the emotional tone.
Oh, I was about to say an AD who does not yell is worth their weight in gold.
Yeah.
Because as an actor, one of the worst things is, especially we're doing an emotionally delicate scene, and you've got an AD who's screaming at everybody, and everybody, you know what I mean? The tone of the set is so important. And
I want to work with Clint Eastwood because I love how he runs. No, this
Yeah.
is part of it. The negative is about mitigating it. It's about things like this. The negative is just, there was just so much love earlier that I want to make sure that we don't. I want to make sure that we do cover the things that are the harsh truths, because people come into it. I sent you a clip yesterday. How do you say Emilia Clarke?
Oh yeah, Emilia Clarke.
Where she was talking about, you know, what advice she would give, and what she said was,
the best piece of advice I would give to someone starting out in the industry is, are you sure? If there is anything else, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, if there is anything else, if you are a young actor who's like coming up to, am I going to go to drama school? I think I want to be an actor. Is there anything else in the world that you could do that would bring you joy? Not that like I could be an accountant, I'm really clever, but like that you would want to do that, because there's so much joy and there's so much love and there's so much amazing things to be found in this career. And I've had some of the best moments of my life doing it, but I've had some of the worst. And you got to be there for the worst, and you've got to like ride through the worst to get to the best. And so if you don't love it with your heart, mind, body, soul, there is nothing else on earth that I could possibly do, then that would be my biggest piece of advice, because most of acting is being unemployed.
If there's anything else that you would want to do, do that.
Right.
Because of the emotional turmoil of the industry.
So for me, I know, you know, like the women segment, you know, that's where we are. But
this whole episode is...
I do have to say,
all are women, right?
Yeah, last time I checked.
Oh, boy.
So it's interesting because I do choose to go by farmer. There's a few reasons for that. One, people remember it, but two, I do like, you know, having a more gender neutral name. It's also a pretty good asshole indicator to see if, you know, how someone reacts to me setting even a small boundary.
Yeah.
But I have always been me. At my heart, I'm a little bit of I'm a bossy person. That's just who I am. And
perfect for an AD position.
But here's the thing, is that it's like, yes, does the film industry...
Hold on. Are you bossy, or did people just tell you were bossy?
Oh, they told
me.
me.
Wait. Did people just call you bossy because you're a girl?
Because
if you were a man, they would say, what a confident leader.
Of course.
But when you're a woman, you're bossy, you're a bitch, you're a diva.
I'm outspoken. These are things about me. And yes, the film industry does have its own ways of being negative towards women, you know, different types of people. Yeah. But I have not found anything else that has wanted to pay me for my own natural qualities as well. Like I found in the AD world, it's like you expect ADs to
be a little bit of an asshole.
That's, I mean, you come in, it's like that's what you have to be. And so I found that it's like, as long as I'm able to do the job, like, yes, I have dealt with like, you know, grips that have just treated me atrociously, or, you know, been like in a way that they would not have to a man. But in general, I have found that the further up I kind of move, the more that like men appreciate that I get them home to see their families on time.
Right, sure.
Like it's like it's a very, I do well in a more masculine department because I
competence.
Yeah.
Your competence shines, and they're like, okay.
That so it's I like
and you know
that
what
film
I've
gives
found.
me
What
that.
I've found though sometimes is that when you're really competent and confident and good at things, sometimes they treat you worse.
Yep.
Yeah.
It treats you worse.
Sometimes,
Right.
Give me an example.
like I've been in situations before, just over the years, where maybe I'm pushing for quality, right? Maybe you know, it's a set where they just want to hurry up and get it done because it's an indie film. We don't have a lot of money. We don't have a lot of time. And I'm going, hey, you know, we really need to keep the big picture in mind and remember that we're wanting to make a lasting piece of art.
You're being a good cop.
And we, you know, and we need, I'm being a good cop, but I've been villainized for that.
It's like script supervisors. They
You
come in
know?
and they say, that's wrong.
Right.
Everyone goes,
Yeah,
but they need that.
But what's funny too is that I've also experienced like trying to do that and then having a man say the exact same thing and everybody's like, oh yeah, of course, right away.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
there's some blinders that went on.
Yeah.
I have a-
But I
have
think
a contrary point to that.
But I think some of it is, but this is you too. I mean, like we're both attractive women, and we're like little, like you know, I'm shorter than you, but not like. But
God,
You're attractive
I-
too, Scarlett.
I'm very happy being a woman,
know.
but I wish I was like a 6'2" man on set sometimes. Like, gotta be so much easier to control the set.
But I think also too, some people and we can talk about this too. I think there's a lack of respect for actors, and there's a lack of respect for actors towards crew and for crew towards actors. You know, there is, because, and I think that we have the unique position of being both.
Yeah.
And so I know that crew is busting their bones to make this thing work, and they're being stepped on. They're not sleeping. They're not eating. They're working longer hours. They're there before I get there, and they're there after I leave. But also, what I found is that. So some actors don't respect that side of it. And then on the crew side, I feel like they don't really, and I feel like this is just a general perception that acting is easy or that emotional labor is not just as difficult.
I think they feel like actors are like surfing through life. Like there's like, oh, they have it easy. They have a trailer.
Well, and the thing,
misinformation a lot of the time.
Well,
that's what I was just saying.
It's being projected onto the crew that it's the actor's fault.
I actually was.
They know the truth.
I was in talks with Frat Pack, and to like
they're
teach.
great.
They're great to teach a workshop that's for actors that basically is just set etiquette. Like
that'd
shout
be
out
great.
to Frat Pack.
What's Frat Pack? What is this?
They're great. Like they do taping. They do
classes and things
great.
like that.
Great space, but because I was used to be so nervous when I got onto set, and this commercial that I did recently, I remember it was funny because like I managed to not tell anyone that I was actually crew, which I'm very proud of for my self-restraint. But you know, we were sitting in our holding, and I decided to go to Crafty, and the other actress was like, "Do you think they're gonna need us?" And I looked there, I was like, "No, they're still lighting." Because you know, because I
know that perspective.
I know that,
and
I could like they would ask us to go again, and I could hear the notes that they were giving to camera, and I knew it wasn't me. I knew that it was a camera thing.
Yes.
So it takes so much of this pressure. When you understand you're just part of this.
You're part of the and in a sense you're part of the machine. You're part of what makes everything move. And I think that what's interesting to me is that for those of you who are not actors. And at least for me in my process, your body doesn't know the difference between crying on camera and crying in real life.
Yes.
So when you're
exhausting.
It's exhausting. So when you're doing, because I think it's one of those things where I feel like it'd be great. We should do this in tandem and do like a crew etiquette and an actor etiquette.
Oh,
because I feel like one of the things.
You corked it, man. You got wax all up in there.
Oh my gosh.
Not the good kind of wax.
We're taking a wine break.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So I think one thing that has struck me.
One thing that
has really struck me, and this is from the actor's perspective, and there's plenty from the crew perspective too. So I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just sharing experiences. But one thing as an actor is that I feel like. And this we can get into more lately, but actors we're so afraid to advocate for ourselves.
Yes.
We're so afraid to advocate for ourselves because we are taught that we are not valuable, that we're replaceable, and that if we
you don't want to be
actors?
a diva.
Oh yes.
Absolutely.
Oh yes.
No, because you go into a callback and there's just 8 women that look exactly like you.
Oh yeah.
Okay, hold on a second, because I feel like that's something that's ubiquitous. And I haven't not heard that from someone in any position. Like I've felt that my entire career.
Right. Well, no, but
what I'm saying. On the call sheet?
What I'm saying is that I don't think.
Are you Tom Cruise?
What I'm saying is I don't think people I don't think people think about that with actors because they think we're
They
so
don't think
privileged,
about it.
right?
Yeah.
But I can tell you, that like there are some sets where if you're not the lead, they don't give a shit about you. And if you have a concern or something like that, you can feel like you're not able to raise it.
It almost feels like
if you rock the boat, you're never going to work on that show again, or you're never going to.
Almost, you know what it feels like? It feels like
Johnny Depp talks about that.
Being an actor is like having rich parents that don't actually care about you, so they just like buy you a bike instead of like actually caring about how you feel. Like
no one cares. The machine does not care about
But even
you.
then, like I feel like, especially in this market, in the southeastern market, we are a scarcity breadcrumb market where it's like
fighting over co-star roles because everyone else comes from LA.
Well, co-stars that probably should be guest stars, but anyway.
Okay.
But anyway, not all the time, but sometimes. Because they're, anyhow, that's part of the geographic disparity thing that's got brought up with the strike, that hopefully, where they're offering New York and LA actors above scale and a higher billing for the exact same role, and they're paying an Atlanta actor the bare minimum and the bare minimum billing just because of their zip code, and it's bullshit and horrible, and we deserve better.
The whole thing is an overhaul of some sort.
Yeah, well, and we're in the process of it. The strike has begun an overhaul. There's a lot of stuff that has like come up, but I feel like one of the things, getting back to like etiquette on set, is holding the space. Whether you're another actor, respecting another actor's space. Like if I have to go do a difficult scene and you're here early for your scene, but your scene isn't for another, you're here early and maybe you're going to go to hair and makeup. The respect of like, if you notice someone in process, like don't like go try to joke around with them or try to get them out of there.
I also hate when the other actor is just the worst person you've ever met and they want to just talk to you and you can't wander around anywhere because you just have to sit in your little playpen because that's what cast holding is. It's like, okay, we've given you your little seats, don't wander off, here you go, which I get because I've been on the other side.
Oh yeah, you don't want to try to find somebody.
No, I can't imagine trying to work with someone like this that I don't like.
Yeah.
Having to kiss someone I don't like.
Well, it's better when they're pretending to be somebody else, but I once had this actor tell me that he eats food according to their density, so he will layer it in his stomach. Oh, yeah.
What? I don't... What? What is that?
This is alarming.
Like...
It's like pizza or... Okay, a sandwich... I'm confused.
Like I'm gonna eat the bread and...
It's like when you suck at a baby shower with the worst people imaginable. That's what it feels like sometimes in holding. Like, I'm trying
to understand. I don't understand.
Bro, like, that's like, I've always gotten along better with crew is the other thing. I think that's why
I can't even make a joking like
if you have salad and steak, so he eats the salad then the steak.
No, the steak first. He has to put the heavier things in the bottom.
Okay.
That is a level of neuroticism that
I like.
Does he go into a level of like once it breaks down? The
oh my gosh, no. Well, and also, yeah. Well, okay. Oh my god, what I was saying was just like on the crew side of things, like understanding when you've got actors that are working in an emotionally difficult space, or even something that requires a lot of concentration, like a stunt or something like that, that they be quiet.
Yes. No, so here's the thing too. I remember this is but when I was a script supervisor, but you can see like the ink.
And not a be quiet of like a rude be quiet, like just guys, hold the space.
That's why we keep it quiet even when it's we're rolling without sound, MOS, so that people can think.
So that they can concentrate.
I was a script supervisor, and I remember we went to lunch and we came back, and the ADs just says like, all right guys, we're gonna be doing like scene 22 next. And our lead actress, she was like on Glee or something, like Amber, I don't remember, but she goes, wait, what? Wait, no, I thought scene 27 was up next. And I look, and scene 22 was like 2.5 pages long, and scene 27 was like 3/8 page.
Yeah.
And she's like, what's going on? And I go like, hey, it's okay. I'll go see what's up. And so I go to the AD and I say, hey, what's going on with the schedule? And he says, well, since 27 is or 22 is longer, we figured we'd get it out of the way first. And I said, she does not have it prepared.
Yeah, she's not ready.
I like to use the expression that like you have to give them time to take it off of the truck.
That's not fair.
So like props, they will have the entire show prepped on their truck, but on their cart.
Is Crafty ready yet?
Yeah,
no.
But it's like they have it prepared, but it's on the truck. They have to have time to take it out and have it on their cart because you only bring out what you need.
Yeah,
for that.
and I think
we all need that. Every position
does, and I think that because for actors specifically, and again, like I know know that there are many disparagements on the crew side as well. You know, actors just running them ragged and taking advantage of them because they think they can, which is awful. But also, you know, it's like, I think people in general, like even when the strike happened, we saw it from the general public. The general public just did not realize that most actors are working class people.
Yeah.
You know, and also that as an actor, you know, my whole being has to go into what I'm doing. And we need prep time just like anybody else, but because it's not something tangible.
There's so much unpaid labor that actors have to do when it comes to preparing auditions and setting time.
Yes.
And it's hard. No, it's honestly, for me, I don't have that many complaints about actors. Like, really anyone can be a bad person and you just
That's
kind
true.
of infantilize. I think honestly Hallmark moms, like the kind of aging actresses that are in Hallmark movies, are contractually obligated to be absolutely insane.
I'm sorry, is Hallmark moms a coined term from... Where does that come from?
Oh, from my brain. You know, like whenever it's like, oh, I'm going home and there's my mom. She was in some 80s movie
From
that
the
we
farmer's
liked.
market.
Although I will
Farmer's
say,
Market, yeah.
all I will say, with one exception, because I have worked with her twice and she's amazing, Andie MacDowell.
Oh,
She seems very sweet.
She played my mother in Magic Mike XXL, and then I played a young version of her in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
And she's a gem. She's a beautiful, wonderful human. And I love
think
her.
the main issue comes when actors don't know what kind of show they're on.
Yes.
That is the biggest thing for me. So
Yes.
when the actors' expectations, for whatever reason, whether the producers haven't set them up straight or their agent hasn't or they're just insane. Like
or they're just entitled.
yeah, no, it's like, understand, because I've worked with some big names that have been on smaller things and they understand that our holding is going to be a basement.
Yes, it's going to be different.
It's
Yeah.
like, I know the show that you're on.
Right, no, that's so important. I think that that's a big, important thing to talk about, is for crew and for actors, is know the level of show that you're on, and if you said yes, then I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
you know, like because, and I know that sounds really harsh, and I don't mean if something is extreme and awful.
Of course.
But I mean, if you're like, you understand that this is a passion project, it's a weekend short film, we're going to have some night
like,
shoots.
look at the location. We have put you in the best
room.
room that is here. Like,
Yeah. Just give and take from both sides.
Yeah, there is give and take from
You,
both sides.
an individual needs to understand where they are, and the company needs to understand where the individual is.
And there needs to be transparency on all sides, you know, because people are not mind readers, and so if you are uncomfortable, you must speak up. Because
you have to speak
as
up.
a producer,
you have to speak up.
Because I say this as a producer and as a director, if there is a problem that I don't know about, I can't fix it.
Yeah.
For
Let
me,
them know.
as an AD, I will be, no, I consider myself kind of like the mom.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's
like,
right.
That's also...
In the AD department, you mean?
Yeah, in the AD department. Like when I'm a second, when I'm a first AD, when I AD, like, first off, no one should give my PAs any guff. Ever.
Right.
Never.
Yeah.
Like,
that protection is not ubiquitous. That protection you're talking about, don't
No,
treat my PAs like that.
I'm going to say something
my heart just opened up.
I'm going to say something that could be taken, like, wrong. Okay, I'm going to say it.
Bring it out.
Everyone ready?
Bring all
My
of it.
favorite. Go.
So,
Throw the shade.
Hold on, ready.
in general, like,
You need some more?
having an idea or making a decision comes with a certain amount of risk that you can
Yes.
have the wrong idea or make the wrong decision.
Sure.
So ideally, as you move up, you should be compensated more. That's what it means. Is that it's like
Right.
your neck is more on the line. PAs should not have to make decisions.
Right.
I do not think that we pay PAs enough. Like PA's idea, your ideas, what like your creative, your like whatever it is. They're worth more than the rate that we pay PAs. So that's what I mean. That's like PAs are not being like paid to think. I mean, that sounds bad. It's like, of course, you need to be smart.
Well, I think it's it comes to, especially when you're on a production where you have more of a crew, and you know, it's like, it sounds negative to say stay in your lane, but there is a certain amount of that.
No, to protect them.
Yeah.
If a PA is shushing you, that PA did not come up with that.
No.
So if one of these days, if I really lost it and like someone was being really like a jerk to a PA, I've dreamed about going up to somebody and be like, hey, why do I have to repeat myself?
Right, yeah.
Because if a PA is telling you something, that's me saying it.
Yeah,
so like they are they are representative.
Oh yeah, no, this was a short film that I was on, and it was an all hands on deck kind of a film. I was directing and co-producing the film.
Yeah.
And we were in a situation where I was trapped in Video Village, and I couldn't like extricate myself to get to the actor to give them a note. But I also didn't want to scream across the set.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we were in eye shot of each other, but because that's important for what happens next. So I sent our first AD over. I said, would you please go tell so and so this thing?
Yeah.
Right. And it was something really simple. It wasn't like a performance critique. It was actually like something regarding like physicality and remembering that the character had an injury.
Yeah.
Right. And because you can forget when you don't really have that
There's
injury.
so many things
you know?
that don't be
like
done,
it was just something that, and it was actually something because she was like doubling as script soup and first AD, and she was like, I just noticed that that person is not walking like they would if they. And I went, oh my God, you're right. Thank you so much. And which is so valuable because as the director, I'm focused on so many different things that sometimes something falls through the cracks like that. So I said, that's so great. Yeah. Would you mind, because I am trapped here amongst the monitors and wires and like the focus puller and I are like
so much time for you to get
like you're on their shoulders.
Yeah,
you're like
over.
I
mean, like because we were like in the back corner.
That'll happen.
And
you guys are all just like in a shower together. Like when you're filming in a house, it's just like everyone in a shower.
Right. And so I asked her. I said, would you please go over and relay this for me? Yeah. She did, and I watched that actor roll his eyes at her.
Yeah.
And I was like,
on the video.
And I was like, excuse me, that note came from me.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm not physically in front of you to tell you that is because I can't get to you.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. People
and
don't
I don't mean that PAs shouldn't think. I mean, obviously,
no,
you have to think.
But it's like you
shouldn't
think. Be in a position where the decision, like
it's like that to me. It's like when you're in a restaurant, and you don't get mad at the server for a kitchen delay.
Yes, or it's like if like don't get mad at the server. Like then the manager comes over. Doesn't matter what it is.
It's a don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it's coming from me. I protect my flock. I protect my kids. And sorry, we got off on a different thing.
No, but it's true though, because also what you run into sometimes, and I've run into this when I've been at the top and when I've been reporting to someone else. Sometimes like when I'm the one relaying a message, like there's a producer above me maybe, and I'm relaying the message, or when I'm the producer above the other person and they're relaying the message. That like if somebody like be respectful, because I've had somebody like either like doubt the thing that one where the actor rolled their eyes, and I was like, you can see me, did you not, like, it's coming from me, but you think you can be disrespectful?
That's ego?
I think it is ego. Yeah. I think it was ego, because I think it's 420 apparently for people that matters to.
I have a question. If there's a thing about ego, I think that there's a line. Some people have been treated poorly for their career, and then they try to up their ego. Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the cycle of an abuser, isn't it? That's the cycle of an unhealed person.
Which is what the film industry produces.
Yeah, because what happens is that and you can sometimes you can see it, and you can course correct it, because you can go, hey, look, I'm not criticizing you. I need you to do that. And this is back to what you were saying, where it helps when an actor understands something. Where I'm going, I'm not criticizing your performance, but I need you to say this way because it's a plot point, and it's not going to make sense. It just doesn't, or something like that.
I also feel like with our industry,
but you get people that lash out with their egos. Like,
oh yeah. But usually, actors aren't on set that much. I do have to say, like, even working actors, they're going to be there only a couple of days. Yeah. So it's easier just to let it go. Or again, in this industry, like, I don't really see people get fired that much unless something egregious happens. I know it used to be different. Now you just don't get called again.
Yeah, and I think that's fair too. Is that you definitely
that's the firing.
Well, and I think I think also that there's definitely a pick your battles element to this. Absolutely. Like if you've got an actor that's just being really needy and they're kind of annoying, just it's okay.
For me, my
best
trick.
That's happened.
If they're being disrespectful and causing a problem, then you have to address it.
I draw my own personal line of disrespect. You know? So don't talk about my mama. Okay.
What I like to do, what's always helped me, is that I just tell people, like I give people the options. Like I remember I was the second AD on this Hulu feature, and small budget. They wanted a second AD, right? They didn't want to bring on a second, and I was like, okay, guys, I'm pretty good. I'm not that good. of course, I'm going to make the call sheet
I'm not actually two people.
and run base camp. Okay?
No.
Which, by the way, a lot of second ADs. No, I can do that all day long. Like, so many indie second ADs, I'm like, there's not that many actors. Here,
I have a second AD story that will make your head spin.
This is a big
Can't
pet
wait.
peeve of mine. If you are on a small indie thing, here's what you do. You only have, 2 actors in base camp. I know you don't have a real base camp, and you're working on this. You say, hey, how long will it take to do hair? 45 minutes? Great. I'm going to go work on the call sheet for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Hey, look. Boom.
Yeah.
It's not that
It's
hard.
just multitasking.
Know the show that you're on. Know that you are not going to have like a competent base camp PA or base camp PA.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, and when also too, I have found that as sometimes as an actor, it's also like it's what's difficult for me sometimes is because I am a producer. If I'm on a set just as an actor and the set is not running efficiently or there are problems, it's so difficult for me to just
exactly
take a
what's
deep
going wrong.
breath
Yeah.
and not, I've actually learned that sometimes you have to be not my circus, not my monkeys and just let it fall apart, because if you try to help, then you get villainized.
Oh, and also something else that I've learned is that so there are some shows that if you try to work ahead, you end up 2 steps behind because the director does not know what they want.
Right.
And so there are some,
Oh, I can't stand it.
It's something I've had to learn
Or
that's
triggered.
hard.
Or people aren't talking to each other. So
Yeah.
Lack of communication.
So this person's making a decision. What's the
Yeah.
worst is when you're an actor and you're caught in the crossfire of a miscommunication between
Yeah.
the director and the producer, and the director told you to do one thing and the producer came over and told you to do something else, and then you're like, mom and dad are fighting,
Oh, dude, that's
Standing there like you're watching Iron Man and Captain America. You're just like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
But anyway, so
Watch
I
and
was on
enjoy.
this Hulu movie, and I told them, I was like, okay, guys, I'm pretty good. I'm not that good. Of course, I'm going to make the call sheet, and then I can run base camp.
Yep.
At which point, you're going to have to bring on somebody to do the PR, and it's like, and in that case, you'd have someone do the PR, and then the first AD would have more help on set, which I think she would like.
Yeah.
Or I can make the call sheet and I can do the PR. But then you're gonna have to
You mean
find
PR like public
Can't have all
relations or
three.
PR like something else?
The
production report.
production
Oh,
report.
right. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
I got one for you.
And I said-
got one for you.
I said, so I can do the call sheet and the production report, but then you're going to have to find somebody to run base camp, and then there won't be somebody on set to help the
Yeah.
first AD.
Yeah, and
Which would you prefer?
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that
You
that's
just tell them what
Here
it's.
are your options. You don't get to have
and
three in one.
This is what it's going to cost you. It's up to you.
Yeah, and I think that that's the thing is that when you can present it in such a way of going, it's actually going to cost you more money to not hire that next person because we're gonna be so inefficient at that point that we're gonna run longer days, we're gonna run more days, there's gonna be chaos,
Or,
it's
even as simple as if an actor asks for something that we don't have at Crafty, bring them 4 different options and then hand it, because you're showing them that you've at least tried, and then they get to at least choose.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciate because I have a lot of stupid food allergies, and so frequently I'm at Crafty apologizing profusely and saying, I'm so sorry, here's what I can't have, do you have anything back there? And I really appreciate it when
You're
they
probably
come.
the more understanding version of the actor on set.
But
Just like,
I'm
understand
always
that
very
you can't-
apologetic. I'm always like, excuse me, but I just.
I was in a similar situation, Farmer, where I was the second, and they needed. My first AD kept calling me to be a second on set when there was just so much bullshit going on. Then, on one particular day, there were 2 days I had the first AD with no second or second, and they needed a call sheet and the PR. So I'm firsting and doing those things for 2 days.
Yeah.
And one day, and the third
it's
day
all
was
about
a
managing
stunt.
expectations. So it's
It
like,
was horrible.
if we're gonna do this, this is what you're going to
And then
pay.
that's also like a know where you are thing too, because if you have a passion project and you're filming over a weekend, you might have a skeleton crew of 5 or 6 people, and you've just gotta, and then that's when you have to understand that everybody pitches in.
This is what we're gonna lose.
Because because it's not that you have less things to do, it's just that each person has more things to do, and therefore it splits their focus. But and I've been on some little indie films with skeleton crews that were magic. And everybody just did the thing and threw in and was collaborative, and we got it done, and it was lovely. So it's not to say that you can't do it, but you have to do it with a certain spirit of camaraderie and cooperation and willingness.
Those have been
to
few and
work
far
as a
between
team.
for me.
Yeah.
But I love Marvel sets because they're so efficient in that way. But I've worked a lot of indies, and that's been like,
and when also too, like there's this weird thing that I guess I've struggled with personally a little bit is like when something's not being done correctly and you're trying to, like, when do you speak up, when do you not speak up, right? Like, now if you're giving me like the wrong contract, I have to speak up, right? But there was a production one time that I did where and it was probably like it's not indie film, but it was probably like indie film level. It felt like, you know, like a mid-level indie film kind of vibe, right? So they did have a second AD, and I knew the day that I was filming, like 2 weeks prior, they had booked me, and they said, you're going to be working on this day probably, but it might be this day. And and I said, okay, great. And they sent me a deal memo that looked a little weird, and I was like, well, okay, you know. And then I didn't hear anything, right? And I know. And I didn't hear anything, and it gets to be the night before the day that I was supposed to shoot, and I'm waiting, and I'm thinking, no one from production had reached out to me, not wardrobe.
It's already past midnight, right?
Well, not yet, but I'd already I sent a form to wardrobe 2 weeks prior, did all the things I was supposed to do. It gets to be around midnight, and I'm like, nobody from production has contacted me at all except for like I think one of the producers or the production coordinator when they initially booked me, right? And so it's close to midnight, and I'm faced with a choice of, do I try to chase them down, or do I let them fuck around and find out if they don't, you know? And I
just got giddy when you said that. I was like, please fuck around and find out.
I did, and I, but you know, you feel a certain amount of guilt because because what ended up happening, so it's midnight, right? And I was like, you know what? I really don't have contact information for the appropriate people because no one has reached out to me, and you know, I could send an email and try to chase people down, but they hired me as an actor, and that is not my job.
Yeah, and at that point, you're teaching them that it's okay to treat you like
that.
that.
And so I was like, okay, all right, you know what? And it was so anxiety ridden for me to be like, I'm just gonna go to bed. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And so I went to bed, and sure enough, I wake up to a text message from the second AD saying, hey, this is so-and-so from such and such, and I know I'm not gonna, you know, so-and-so from such and such, and where are you? And I said, I'm at home, where are you?
Generally second ADs send the call sheet.
Right, but here, it gets worse. It gets worse. So, and they go, you didn't get the emails? And I said, and at that point I hadn't checked my email yet, because I went to bed, and then I woke up, and, you know, I went to bed around like midnight or 1, and I stopped I got off the computer at midnight, and then I probably was in bed by 1. And then I was up at like, I don't know, like 9 or 9:30. I hadn't checked my email yet when I got this text at 10 a.m. And they said, you know, where are you, whatever, and didn't you get the emails? And I was like, no. And they were like, oh, that's so weird. And then they were like, well, your call time is now, like 10 a.m. Can you still film today? I said, yeah, I'll be there as soon as I can. You know, and so I was an hour and a half late, but I did say on the phone, I said, I need you to do something for me, though. And I said, and they were like, okay. And I said, I need you to convey to production that this is not my fault. I am not late because I didn't care about the show or because I'm a flaky actor. I am late because no one gave me a call time. And then when I looked back, I did a search in my email. They had sent the call sheet through like a service. Yeah. Right?
Spam.
It didn't go to spam, but the call sheet came through at like 1:30 in the morning when they wanted me on set at 10 a.m. So no prelims. Nothing. And I was
not an okay turnaround.
I like the call.
Well, and here's the thing: is that like I was like, as a producer, because frequently on these smaller things.
No offense, but never trust an actor.
Right.
Like, love actors, respect them. Never trust an actor because we cannot afford for something to fall through the cracks. Right. So you get their number, you text them, you make sure.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. Is I was like, because I was like, how did you go to bed that night going, oh, she probably got it, and also sending a call sheet out. You know, there was no prelims, there was nothing. Sending a call sheet out like in the middle of the night for me to be there that morning is absurd.
So I want to talk about something. So when I work with people, I like to tell them that I have 3 different levels of information that I like to work with, okay? I give this little explanation. I say, so there's word of God. Word of God means this is first AD, the producers, this is what we're doing. You can trust it. Let's move out. Then I have little birdie. So I worked with little birdie's telling me. So if I'm, you know, because here's the thing, a lot of times, for whatever reason,
it's like rumor. Transpo is the
because a lot of times ADs, producers, directors, they don't like to give a like possibility that something's going to happen if it doesn't turn out. They think that's going to make people panic. I
Right.
personally disagree. I think that it's good if people know, like, if this were to happen, this
Right.
would be my plan.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, depending on if I'm cool enough with the acting, like, hey, little birdie, they might be picking up this scene. Don't
Yeah.
know. You know, like, you didn't hear it from me.
Right.
And then actors are
information.
like, just like, oh, good heads up. Like, don't get mad if it's not true.
Yeah.
But here, in case you want to look over it,
right,
just in
yeah,
case.
just in case.
You know,
How much do you think the crew should be in an AD's head? How much do you think?
Oh, not at all.
There's a lot of like
No,
need to
here's-
know stuff
that's-
going on, right?
It's gonna get canceled out.
Here's my thing.
Right.
So in terms of like being in an AD's head, I actually don't think that department heads should know their timing all the time. Like, it's like, I don't need you to tell, like, I should be able to look and be like, oh, they're changing a lens, that's going to take about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Like,
Right.
you don't need to be telling me I need 2 minutes. I should know what that
should know,
equals.
yeah.
I should be able to see those guys in the letter and hear what they're talking about setting up and know that's going to take that. So, but it's just like, if this were to happen, do you know what your plan B is?
Yeah.
And so that's little birdie. Then I have my spidey sense. Spidey sense is very useful when, you know, it's like I'm a PA on a big show or there's something and it's like, hey guys,
You can just tell
my
something's taking
my
longer.
spidey
Yeah.
sense is like, no, I say my
Frequency.
I say, guys, basically I have a feeling that they're gonna look this way next. Like, it's like, you know,
Based in just my
feeling,
too,
and then
right?
it's like, if you, so it's me asking somebody to do something because it's like, we should prepare for it now because
I can
it's
feel
probably
it
gonna
happening,
happen
yeah.
instead of it, and it's like, you're free to disregard
And
it,
it literally makes you feel like you have a superpower.
but it's literally, I say, hey guys, I have a spidey sense that like we might be wanting to do this,
Right.
so let's
Or-
be
or,
emotionally
you know,
Give a
prepared.
silent like, yes, I'm right.
Yeah,
No,
or you go,
Yeah.
or you know, I've been in those situations where you're filming outside and you go, you know, it wasn't supposed to rain until 3, but I just
Like, hey guys,
Spidey
let's get
sense.
some tents. I have a
Yeah,
spidey sense,
yeah.
right.
but it's
yeah.
managing those expectations where it's
Right.
going, hey guys, I
I
don't
think
be
that's
mad.
I think
let's,
that's
you know.
I think that's so much of like everything everywhere every department is managing expectations
Yeah.
and also holding yourself accountable for the things that you agree
Oh,
to.
I'll
But-
say I'm
but-
wrong in a heartbeat.
but
I
also-
do not care.
But no,
Hey
Holding
guys,
no,
yourself
what I
accountable.
mean is what I mean is holding it. What I mean is holding yourself accountable to the things that you have agreed to, not under duress, okay? Not if you feel like you can't speak up or you're being oppressed or something bad is happening,
Persuaded, yeah.
but just in general. Like if I say yes, as you know, I have studio credits and all kinds of stuff, but I will still do, I just did a fantastic little short film
That's amazing.
in September, October. That was, I would just fell in love with it. I saw the concept online. There was a little casting notice on Facebook, and I saw, and I was like, oh, it's a period piece, and it was, you know, just like I was like, this is about a painter and his muse, and this like portrait session gone wrong in the 1800s, and it's just so funny and charming, and it was non-union. I flipped it and turned it union because I know how to do that.
Yeah.
So I always write them and I
Know your
say,
contracts.
I always write them and I say, hey, I'm union, but don't be scared. I can help you. It's not, and for this, because this was a micro budget agreement that is literally a waiver because we didn't have any stunts or anything. It was literally the two of us on camera and very simple but effective, funny things. But they were so wonderful about like doing costuming ahead of time, being really accommodating for me. Like if they were going by my like for the costume fitting, they were like, the costumer actually, you know, could come pick you up if you want and you can carpool with us. And they were it was a teeny tiny little crew. You know, there was only probably like some days there were like three people, or the director was the writer and also the other actor, and he was also helping out trying to AD, and then he had somebody else come in and step in to help him. But everybody was so like just lovely with each other. And it was a nice little community, and for that, and I didn't get paid anything at all except for my hard costs because we shot like in LJ, and that's like an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
So you know they paid.
There's a difference between working for free and working at like your own like it costing you.
Yeah, and that's my point is that like I will do a passion project if I love the character and the script and the team is good.
Yeah.
And it's not going to cost me any money. If I can afford to do it, I will do it. But I will also.
Can we get both sometimes?
Yeah, can we get both? But in this specific example, like I will do that, but I know when I step on that set that I don't have a trailer.
Yes.
I know that I did my own makeup, you know, I know I don't have, you know, I did my own makeup. I was, you know, but that's the thing is it's sort of like, because what I found before, you know, I've worked on things like short films or something where you get an actor that comes on and they just, it's like they'll come on, they'll all be like, oh, by the way, I have a hard out at 2:00 today. And you're like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, come on.
You know?
Please,
what?
work with me. Let's
Like,
work. We're in this
I know,
together.
'cause
We're on a
sometimes-
ship.
Actors are more excited to be actors than to be acting.
Yeah, no, well, because it's work and it's a long day, and I think
Yeah.
you know, there's something to, I guess, just the transparency on all parts, and that if you agree to do a passion project, you kind of understand what you're getting yourself into, and you know that there is always a line where somebody's abusing your time or you, and that should never happen. But then there's also this like thing where you're like, okay, I understand that you know, we're not going to have a full crafty, but we're going to have enough snacks to get through.
For
you know?
me,
like,
as a producer, like if I'm asking somebody to come out for a freebie or like something that's like not their rate, I always, so there's a couple things that I try to do. One, every single short that I produce, like that, like for directing, I really want to show off one aspect of one department. So ideally I want to make it like fun, like something that to experiment. You look for people that want to grow into that position. So you want to get like someone who's an AC on big shows who wants to DP. And then you need to treat people like, I think if you can't pay them as well as the big union stuff, you need to treat them better. So that means that 10-hour days. I remember the first short that I directed, it was supposed to be 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. one day, you know, like night.
Right.
And then we were going to come in the next day at like 10 and, you know, be done by like, you know, 8 or something like that. But it rained, which is amazing because we got this like free wet down. But then we had to push an hour, so now it was 6 o'clock and it was December. We were supposed to be filming in this like one street, and then there was this really important shot that I wanted that was maybe like a block over. So it gets to be midnight when we're supposed to be done. We're packing up. We move over, and then I see in front of that mural that I needed, there was an ambulance parked out there and like police cars. And it's cold, it's wet, and I knew people were gonna come back the next day.
Yeah.
But I knew I needed that shot. So I said to my DP, I said, what do we need to get this? Could we come back? And he said, yeah, I can even do it on my other smaller camera. So we need myself, sound, and my lead. Yeah. And I said, thank you everyone for a great day. You can go home.
Right.
Because I wasn't going to give up that shot, but
Yeah,
I figured out still how to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Is
and to be in a position of power where I
Right.
could make that decision to look out for my crew.
Yeah. And I feel like
That's
and
what
it's
time
a,
they
I want ADs to do that all the time.
Yeah,
And, you
well, I
know-
was a director. That
Right,
was
and-
someone else directing.
And sometimes it's hard because sometimes you're working, you know, with a limited budget and a limited number of days, and there are times when you just have to push through, and it can be rough if you have people that are not team players.
Yeah.
You know, when there's just no other option and you just have to do it despite your best efforts. It's just like this is just taking longer,
Well,
and it's got
being
to,
a director
you know?
isn't knowing what you like, because I've seen too many directors on set that they just wait for other people to pitch things and they know what they like. Being a director is knowing what
Having
you
the
need.
vision.
Yeah,
It's
that's
what
true.
you need, bare minimum. What do you like?
Yeah,
you should
yeah.
know what the edit is at least roughly in
Right.
your head.
Yeah.
Have the
Yeah.
energy.
Well,
have it
you-
inside of you.
Yeah.
Just pushing
Well,
the whole
and
thing.
you know, because we've had, you know, I've had situations where like, you know, I knew we weren't gonna make the day, and I was like, okay, we have 2 scenes left, but we have to do this one. We can push this one, but we have to do this one because the actor's already prepped. It's a steady cam one thing.
The steady cam's already built. We're not
You
going
know,
to
right?
wait for
Like we need to just go ahead
it's
and
always
push
a
and get
process.
this, and I'm happy to push the call time for tomorrow a little bit later so that everybody can get some sleep.
Yeah, because sometimes you do
You know?
have to push for it. That's the hard thing. Is you
Yeah,
have to.
and what's tough is when you get though like crew that can be like, well, you said we were stopping at this time, and so it's pencils down at this time, and it's sort of like, but you do have to be flexible, because if we're gonna push a little later here, and then we're gonna push the call time a little later, you know, sometimes you have to be flexible, and I'm not saying abuse people's time because I try my best not to. But you know, there are times where you just have to all kind of go knuckle down and go, we got to get it done.
Speaking of
getting
it done, we're approaching the Abby Singer. I want to say Abby Singer because I know that
Oh,
you have
a
something.
question. Yeah.
So and then we have
I
Martini.
feel like we've pretty much covered.
But
There's one thing I did.
I have one thing.
There's one thing I wanted to.
And
say.
I have one. So each let's have one topic.
Yeah. It's not even a topic.
I just wanted to ask the one question that is probably already been answered, but like basically like working in Atlanta in this industry, do you feel as women that there are any inequalities that through your perspective that needs to be spoken about more often?
Not specific to Atlanta. I feel like it's just everywhere.
I will say, so there's a couple of things, right, where you do see that female-dominated departments tend to not be treated as seriously, both with the time that they're given and with the budget. Or
They're forever rushing hair and makeup.
Hair and makeup,
Poor hair and makeup.
Production design, costume,
Right.
all that stuff.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
I will also say that every single time that I've worked with a female director, except for once, she's been an actor first. Because I think that, and so there's this weird thing where it's like, it's just interesting because I also then find, for whatever reason, there's almost this boxing in that happens, whereas I've heard, well, first off, DPs, it's always a different marriage between a director and a DP, right? You have famously Clint Eastwood, he's just works with the actors, he's an actor's director, and he just lets his DP set it up. But then you have, Kubrick, who was dictating the entire
He was a
frame.
photographer. Kubrick.
Yeah, so every single one is different. And you do see sometimes where DPs will overshadow the director.
Yeah.
But I find that happens more. I mean, a lot of DPs tend to be men, and then the directors that come up are usually actors, so they may not feel as comfortable with the more technical aspects.
Yeah.
And so I have heard so many female, like every single female director pretty much say, "Oh, I'm an actor's director," which I personally hate. I don't want to say I'm a female director. I don't want to say I'm an actor's director. I'm a director.
Right.
Every single aspect of the story falls underneath me, and I try to work with people who are smarter than me at the actual specifics. But I should know what I want and the idea, and then I rely upon your knowledge of the technical understanding to get it done.
That's me. Like when I work with a cinematographer, I'm gonna go, okay, I want this to have a really dreamy, surreal feeling. I want her to feel isolated in the space. How do we do that?
But I've been
I
on
want
set.
them to go, we need this lens, this lens.
Yes,
this lens,
exactly,
this
the
lens.
lens. But I've been on set
Your
where
eyes gloss over and you're like, okay, cool.
yeah, well, I still want to learn, but it's like, but I shouldn't have to in order to know what I want.
Right,
like
as long as you can get that, and I think that's a really crucial thing in indie filmmaking, is that don't just choose the person that's available, choose the right person.
Yeah,
wait for the right person, because I have had on my fantasy project, we went through a couple of DPs. This was a while ago. And then I finally had that revelation. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ask for what I want. I'm gonna ask for what I need. I was like, it feels like this. I need somebody who understands this feeling. And I interviewed a couple of people until I found the right person. Yeah. Because otherwise, because you can have a DP because one of the previous DPs was incredibly talented, but was a commercial, did like big commercial things. Yeah. And just didn't have the
wasn't the right
softness and subtlety and nuance that that like artsy, that like Ridley Scott legend feel that I'm not in.
For that specific movie, I mean, it might have been. That's the thing too, is that
but it didn't mean that person wasn't incredible.
But
it just meant they weren't right. And it's the same thing with actors. You can have an incredible actor. I'll be casting something and they'll be an incredible actor, and I'll go, okay, I'm going to remember them. They're not right for this, but I'm going to remember them because they're great. So if you don't get chosen for a crew position or an acting position, know that you should. This is what I was going to say, is that the difference between a professional and a hobbyist is attitude. It's not money, it's not budget, it's attitude.
It's getting on a list.
Because a professional shows up and brings their A game no matter where they are, and they give people the same respect and the same level of kindness no matter where they are, if you're paying me $0 or thousands of dollars, I'm going to put the same amount of work in. Yeah. And I think that's
sometimes
the
it takes
difference.
this emotional maturity to be able to hold on to your interior.
And that's why I think it's important when you're an indie filmmaker, like you were saying, to treat people even a little bit better almost. Yeah. Because you can demoralize an actor
Easily.
Or a crew member really quickly by not listening to their needs and
I would say
getting paid.
Right, as long as everybody should be bringing their A game, and everybody should be kind and respectful, and in an
ideal world.
And my thing is,
I
don't mind that if I don't get a job. Right. Now I'm if I interview for something and they I may be fourth on their list, and then their number 2 person becomes available. But you know what? If I have a really good interview and if we stay in contact, then then now maybe I'm third on the list.
Yeah,
and then somebody, it's not a no. It's just
not right now.
Not right now.
Not right now.
Exactly.
You had a question about chemistry that you were going to ask me about casting. What was it?
Yeah, well,
and I'll answer you in a short answer.
If I can get the question out properly, I know that a lot of times when, as actors, you work with somebody that you don't have chemistry with. Do you feel like that when an audition process starts, do you think there's a length of time or amount of chemistry you're looking for that
I think
you should be able to find before you actually start?
Are you asking me as a casting director when I'm just watching people audition separately, or are you asking about a chemistry read, or are you asking about my perspective as an actor?
I feel like if you are able to distinguish all three of those. And
Well, okay,
maybe
so
you
so
can
if I'm
answer all
if I'm
three.
casting and I'm just like I'm casting to like a couple, right? Like I'm casting, they're supposed to be love interests. You don't know. You really can't tell from like her tape individually and his tape individually.
Yeah.
That's what chemistry
Don't put
reads
them
are for.
together.
That's why you do a callback and you have them read together, and then you can kind of you can tell because real chemistry can't be faked, right? And then for my part as an actor, if I get cast as somebody's love interest, I did a guest star on a British TV show called Living the Dream, and Mark McCullough or William Mark McCullough. I don't know how you like to call yourself if you're watching. But he played my fiance, and we had this like absurd relationship where like his character thought he was a vampire. His name was Malachi. My name was Serenity. It was so ridiculous and wonderful. But like we'd never met before, outside of like the callback, and so. When I came into, it was in Savannah, when I came into town, we went out to dinner the night before and just like hung out,
Yeah.
and got to know each other.
That's a good thing.
Because you have to sort of like, especially when you're playing like they're like crazy in love, if you've never met before, you're gonna be wooden and weird. And in the callback, actually, I just remembered this. They put us together in the callback, and I looked at him and I said, "Can I hug you?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yeah, sure." And so we
Get
just
that
gave each other this big bear hug.
Yeah.
And then we did the scene in the callback, and it was such a great icebreaker, and it was such a great
It's like grounding yourself.
Yeah, and so I think that's it. It's just like as a director, when I'm watching people, if they need to have chemistry, you want to see them together, ideally, and as an actor, if you are thrown into situations like we almost always are. You want to try to take it upon yourself, if you can, to reach out to that person and say, "Hey, let's go grab a coffee. Let's get to know each other."
Yeah.
That's such a great segue, by the way, into my thing, which is intimacy, or expanding on that, the relationships in front of the camera, be that intimacy, kissing, love scenes, that kind of thing. What would make the most comfortable, I guess was my question, for women? Or how would you like a love scene, for example, to be approached? Or
bless
anything
the
like
intimacy coordinators and the advent of them in our system.
Yes.
Because the only, I will say this is maybe a little harsh, but the only people I've really seen complaining about them are men. And I.
But you know what's I will say that I have been on set when it actually the male actor benefited more from it because he was like so afraid of being seen to be creepy. Because so he wasn't like the girl was like, I'm fine, and he'd be like, is it and she's like just
okay.
And he's like, okay, if someone else tells him this is what you're going to do.
And I think a good intimacy coordinator, to me, a wonderful intimacy coordinator doesn't like try to micromanage or control it really. They just try to be there for the actors to help filter through, to help work through those uncomfortable moments and to help make sure that that the woman is comfortable with everything and the man is comfortable. That both parties, the woman and the man, the woman and the woman, the man and the man, whoever it is, that there's clarity and understanding between both parties, whoever they are.
Well, I think that also it's an interesting thing where really an intimacy coordinator to me isn't as much where I see them being very useful. It's not so much as being like a SAG rep as much as a stunt coordinator.
Yeah.
Whereas because most people have kissed somebody, then there's this idea. I'm saying sorry for anybody that hasn't kissed anybody. It's great. You have
somebody's like, I'm not watching.
Yeah, you have a lot to look forward to. But I think that there's this like where a lot of directors aren't comfortable like giving choreography to this stuff. So then you need
it's a
somebody.
little bit weird. It's kind of like how do you
So
how do you
really
insert yourself in that middle space between those two people?
So
and
then
get what you want?
so then someone else comes in and then they're coming.
They're a neutral third party.
They're choreographing it, and then everyone gets to feel like comfortable because they've been told to do that. It's not them being creepy or trying to cross lines.
Well, and I've heard the argument of like, well, it stifles blah blah the organicness of it. I'm like, not if they're doing it correctly.
Not if they're great actors.
Well, and
right?
not if it's being
coordinator
because
is
none of
doing
it's
the
being.
job.
It's to me, it's just like a director, right? It's just like the
You
director.
also you have lines for a reason. What do you mean
Right.
stifle the organicness?
I know, but you know what
Or
I mean.
is this an improv?
I know,
Like,
but do you know what I mean? Like I've seen that as like one of the reactions, one of the many adverse reactions to it when people have been like,
oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Method. The rest of us would like to know what's going on.
Right, that I would like to
Last
be,
Tango in Paris.
you know,
Shia LaBeouf.
but we, Jared Leto. God.
Jared Leto. Someone said, why is it that whenever guys are method actors, it's never method acting a nice
Yes,
guy? Like they're never helping an old lady across the
Marlon
street.
Brando.
It's
They're not
always,
like method acting. They're not like method acting, Mr. Rogers.
yeah, no, it's always like,
I'm a
just
method actor. I don't need a sock.
like, yeah, no, it's.
Mm.
And so for me, also again as an AD,
Sir.
when you have these kind of
Oh, the flag
The red
guy.
flag guy,
Sir.
oh yeah,
Sir.
these like kind of in between scenes where you don't need a full intimacy coordinator.
Yes.
I try to actually, I always try to talk to them to
Oh,
intimacy
yeah, I mean-
coordinators, ICs, and like find out what they're doing so that I can at least be a presence that's
Right,
kind
and
of
I think
similar.
the biggest thing for me as an actor is having the director, or if it's an intimacy coordinator, just to know that they say, "Hey, I'm available. I'm here.
Yeah.
If you need something,
Yeah.
come right to me. Don't worry about it. We'll solve it."
Yeah.
You know, like that to
Even
me
feeling
is like,
awkward, like, hey, I have to climb on top of him, but it kind of feels
right.
awkward.
And
to
if you've
have
got
an
if you've
idea.
got two actors that are like, "We're actually pretty comfortable and we got this," then okay, you
Yeah,
know,
cool,
like,
but it's
cool,
still
but
there.
I it's one of those things where you definitely want that person there if they need to be there, and it's better to have them there
Yeah.
and not need them than to need them and not have them there.
You know,
Like
some
fire
directors, some
extinguishers.
actors want a lot of direction. Morgan Freeman, for example, he said inside the actor studio, "What do you want least from a director?" He said direction, right? So like, but when it comes to like
Action
intimacy,
figure
when it comes to intimacy, I think it depends on what the scene is and what the script is. Because sometimes you need to know,
Yeah.
you know, where you are, and sometimes maybe it's just like if you the actors know what's going
I think
on.
as a director too, one of the things is to, you know, you're gonna trust your actors and you're gonna let them. You're as a director, you're not a puppeteer.
Right.
You're the captain of the ship, and you're just making sure it doesn't hit the rocks.
Yeah.
You know.
And you're getting what you need.
And you're serving the story. Everybody's there to tell a story, and you're doing what's best for the story.
I want everyone to be excited about their own thing, and then I want to be the one that's there to rein them in. Like people should not rein in themselves.
You're just there
But it's like
you're there
to make sure it all blends
Yeah,
together.
right.
It's like a conductor where
Yeah,
it's like, okay, everyone play what you
Yeah.
like, play this thing, be excited about it. Okay, let's bring this a little bit
Right,
down.
let's
Let's
move
bring
this
this
around.
up.
Yeah,
I think
because
give
like
the actors room to go
but
and then say where the
because
boundaries
because
are.
what I will always and forever do, whether I'm coaching or directing, is I go, all right, show me what you got. And we do a take where they do, you know, there might be some specific blocking for camera, or you got to hit your marks and things like that. But as far as like the like, you know, the heart of it, I let them just go and see what they're gonna do. And then,
Some people are
you know,
backwards. I don't know which way is best because some people, the directors, I mean, want what they want and then they'll let you play.
Yeah.
Some let you play first.
I
and
like
then
to see what's going to happen first because
organically,
because what they do might be far beyond my imagining, and it might be the thing.
Yeah, and if you direct them, they have it in their head
and,
already.
Well, and I feel like you can't be, as an actor or as a director, you can't be rigid. You can't be like, well, I practiced it this way, and so this is the only way I can do it, or I imagined it this way, and this is the only way it can happen, because everything's going to change. Because it's the three versions of a script where you have the script you wrote, the script you shoot, and the edit.
I always like to say that a director
you have to be able to move.
Yeah. Being a director is you should know where you want to end up, but be open as to how you get there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like, you want to have a strong vision, but you also want to be able to be like, if this isn't working, we can do it this way instead.
Yeah.
You know, like
But it all serves the story. It's all serves
right,
the
like
story.
I was directing an actor, and she had this really emotional scene, and she was just crying her eyes out through it. And I had to, and I sat down with her, and I said, "This is what you're doing. It's beautiful, but I can't understand you, and I think it's more. I'm so much more interested in watching you try not to."
Yeah, this one actress, she was like,
it was just too much.
She was supposed to be like terrified, like, cause this like guy, he turns out to like be the stalker, and they've been having this nice conversation. It's supposed to be this like reveal, and she was doing like the. And so I was like, I need you to hold it, and then finally this was. You know, it's weird to say a favorite piece of kind of directing that you've given, but I basically got down, like next to her, I said, I want you to pretend there's a wolf here, and if you move,
Yeah.
will tear your throat out.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah, you gotta be
Right
still.
there.
I can
Like,
see that.
like,
I can feel that.
like, and so because she was there emotionally, but she was letting
She was
herself.
doing too
Yeah,
much,
she was letting herself give into that. So I wanted to hold it there and then hold it,
Hold on
and
to
that
it, yeah.
tension. Because I think finding that tension
Yeah,
is
no,
what
it's
makes
important.
things.
Yeah, because also too, you know, there was the same actress. She was doing another. It was a very emotional film, and she's crying about a child that she's lost, and we're in like the child's bedroom, and she sits on the bed, and the first time, and she like holds on to one of the stuffed animals, and she curls up and like on the bed, and she starts sobbing, and she was vocally like, and I said just for me. This time, I want you to do it without making a sound.
Yeah.
You know, because there's somebody also in
But that's
the
beautiful.
also in the film. There's someone else in the house, and I was like, I want you to. You don't want him to hear you cry. You
Because
don't want
we
him to
love
know.
seeing actors wrestle
That's
with
real.
themselves.
But what was
we
so
love seeing
what
that.
was so beautiful about it, because what I did with the camera is I had them. They were close to her, and I had them dolly away from her, so she gets smaller and the room gets bigger.
Yeah.
And
I love
it
that.
swallows her up.
Will you please send that to me?
When it's done, it's not done yet.
Yeah,
it's
I'd
supposed.
love to see that.
But what's happening is that what's so poignant about it to me is because there's this whole strained relationship between her and her ex-husband, and he's in the next room. You know, he's like in the next room, and I was like, you don't want him to hear you having this breakdown.
It's reminding them of the reality.
You know,
of
I need you to just for me. Do it without the sound, and so she did it, and she held all the sound in it, and it made her whole body shake.
Ah, yes.
And so as we're pulling away from her, she's getting smaller, and the room is swallowing her, and she's shaking, and it's so quiet, and you're like,
yes, that's it.
you know, you're like, there's my heart on the floor.
Speaking of the heart on the floor, we're at the movie Martini.
Yes.
All right, movie Martini. I would love for us to go around and say maybe what's our favorite female-led, say, acting or directing film. Or one of your favorites.
Okay.
Ooh, I already got
gosh.
it immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you got, Scarlett?
Keira Knightley and Domino. I don't know if
Oh.
anybody's ever seen that, but she plays a bounty hunter.
Okay.
A real life bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Based on a character. His name is Domino. Who is this?
Is that me?
I'm gonna have to think because I don't pay as much attention to directors as I really should.
Well, for me, so I know who it is, but I can't pronounce Polish very well. It's a personal failing, really. The movie that I think it influenced me the most has gotten me like into directing, all this good stuff. Actually, it's funny. So the way I got into directing is that I wrote a short that I was supposed to act in, and I was pitching it to a friend of mine, and I was like, "Do you want to direct it?" He said, "Farmer, when you're pitching it, you're telling me the shots. Why don't you just direct it?" But one of my favorite movies of all time is The Lure, Lure. It's by Agnieszka Sumolska, something like that. It is a horror reimagination of The Little Mermaid, but set in a club setting in like Poland in the late 80s, and like they are like, it's phenomenal. It's also a musical, and it works, and it's not campy. Like it's already came out in 2015. It's already in the Criterion Collection.
Okay.
It is my so that is big to me. Daisies, also another honorable mention, the 1966 kind of experimental film where it's very collage based. It's about these two. I really like Eastern European cinema. That's kind of something that I really love. I didn't even go to film school. I just found this pretentiousness on my own.
I love French foreign films.
Oh yeah,
French New Wave.
I don't know what that means.
Oh yeah, Agnes Varda is great.
But
It's about these two girls who decide that society is terrible, so they should be terrible too. They're just seen as these vapid creatures, so they just try to push it as much as they can. Those two are kind of top two for me.
I really am gonna sound so uneducated because I historically don't watch a lot of things outside of fantasy and period stuff, things like that. So my example is probably going to get some eye rolls from some people because it's very new. But I just loved the Barbie movie.
That's a good
segue.
I loved the Barbie
did too.
movie, and the most interesting thing is the people that are like, it's just so shallow. I'm like, did you watch it? Well, no. Okay then, because one of the most also that song that Billie Eilish has, "What Was I Made For." I can't listen to that without just bawling because I think that we all feel that way sometimes, and even though it was about a doll, You know, it was about someone who like didn't understand what her purpose was and didn't know how to find it. And one of the most like relatable things to me in that film was I didn't realize that Margot Robbie produced it and was also in it. She's one of the producers.
She was producing it
She
before
had
she
to
got cast.
fund it.
Right.
So actually, Greta Gerwig wanted her to be in it. Like she just wanted to produce it. Like she wasn't.
And for me, that's so inspiring because I want to produce and also act in things at the same time.
Yeah.
And to see somebody do that on that scale, you know, and then the script was so smart. And the thing that really like got me through the chest like an arrow in it because she managed to be like so subversive with it. Like the messaging was there, but it was also incredibly fun.
Yeah.
You know, and Ken, even when he was being a dick, was just adorable. You know, you know what I mean?
Too.
Like, but here's what really got me was when they go, you know, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the Barbie movie, they go into the real world. Also, Alan is a precious cupcake. But so they go into the real world.
I love Alan.
They go into the real world and they're rollerblading, and Barbie goes, "Do you feel that?" And Ken goes, "Yeah, it's amazing. I feel so free. I feel so good." And then she goes, "I feel scared. I don't know what's going on. I feel so anxious." And it was such a like.
And he's
just
like, I don't feel threatened at all.
Right, and it was such a like. It really just took my breath away in that moment because I was like, in some ways, that really is so accurate, you know. And so I don't know. I loved the Barbie movie because it managed to, you know, sometimes it was a little heavy-handed here or there, but for the most part, I thought it was really subversive and really entertaining and fun, but also had so much heart and so many wonderful things about it, and it also brought people together in a really fun way. Like, you know,
I love Greta Gerwig.
Yeah, I love her.
I love the
her.
commitment to practical like production.
Yes,
design.
Yeah,
that was
really
so cool.
It looked amazing.
We got to try to wrap notes, so I think it's time.
Oh yeah.
I think this is like a typical film where we're gonna try to wrap in like 3 hours. Sorry, Paula.
Did you hear an official martini or did they say Appletini?
Is it a birdie teeny or what? Like what's
This came from Transpo. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's serious.
Oh Jesus.
I wanted to spend more time on the Barbie movie because there's so
No,
much.
you did.
I have a lot.
He's
I
got a
wrote
lot
an
of
article on
opinions.
this thing.
Okay.
I think there's several layers to it.
You read it.
There's a whole lot. But we'll have to save it for next time.
I almost wore my Barbie sweatshirt. But
I wish you would have. It would have come up a lot earlier, you know what I'm saying? But I think it's like a 30-minute conversation. That's like an after lunch full
I
thing.
guess for me, I will say dissenting very quickly. I know. Is that I don't love Sofia Coppola as a director, and I do think it's interesting. I love to talk about female directors, but
she's so artistic.
But the greats have unfortunately been dominated by men, and I would like to, as a director, reclaim that and learn from them. And in my work, I don't want to be seen as a female director. I don't want to be a director. I don't want to. I guess I'm not interested in telling white lady stories, and unfortunately, I feel like we've seen a lot of white lady directors that tell a lot of white lady stories. Like,
you know, Big, Tom Hanks 80s movie.
Yeah.
That director's name is just Penny Marshall.
Penny Marshall.
Yeah.
I think people don't even know that she
or
directed
Real
Big
Genius.
in this.
Real Genius was directed by a woman, and it's like I want to tell. So yeah, we love fairy tales and fantasy. I love The Green Knight. I want to tell like A24 fairy tale retelling. So
that'd be fun.
A little bit like more Green Knight. A girl walks home alone and like Home Alone at Night.
Yeah.
Like that's my niche as a director. That's what I want to do because I want to tell universal stories that are being explored by horror, like possession. Like I don't want to tell
that's all you
stories,
you know. Girl. I can't watch that genre.
Oh, that's what I like. So it's
but I think we have to. I think we're
so it's
too long.
We're female filmmakers,
we're
but
way over.
Yeah,
we're filmmakers.
Yeah,
I never heard in like an interview like the male director.
Yeah, that's
no. It's so unnecessary.
You always hear
just
female director.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Skylar, we're gonna have to do another ladies episode because this is like
we gotta do a part. We gotta do a part two. We'll do a part two.
Definitely do a part two.
All right,
if you guys want to give any shout outs or say where we can find you or what you're working on next.
So you guys can follow me at Instagram. I'm a Farmersaurus. FARMERSAURUS. I really like dinosaurs. I always have.
What do you call a blind dinosaur?
A blindosaurus.
Do you think he saw us?
I love that. So yeah, I'm on Instagram. You can find me. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, same.
Grow those followers.
Yeah, I
know. Same for me. You can find me on Instagram. I'm just my name, Carrie Ann Hunt, on Instagram. I have a little blue check mark, which is fancy.
Yeah, it must be nice to have a name
Yeah.
that you can get that. Just the Farmer is a lot harder to get get names on social media.
I've got
Blue
a
check
check
mark.
mark on a different person's name because Skylar Simpson is this Instagram model somewhere.
That's not you?
It's not your
So-
That's not you? That's
I
just
am not a blonde woman.
not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Still
I mean, I don't know. They, them, you could.
All right, okay, guys, we gotta wrap. Come on.
All right.
Indeed. Thank you for coming out and joining us on. It's going to be great.
Yeah,
we had a
we
great,
just
some
hung out.
great. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for
Our
having
farmer.
us.
I think it was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I hope I don't get canceled.
I think it was great. I think we had
Yeah.
some great
For what?
conversations.
We've
I don't
avoided
know.
that.
So
Yeah,
we had too much
We'll edit
conversation
those
to
parts
keep in
out.
one episode.
Yeah, except for the live.
Yeah.
All right.
Next month we're going to be talking about. It's going to be couples. It's February.
Oh.
We're
So
doing-
we're, gonna
yeah,
do,
we
we're
are
doing
doing
couples. We're going to bring back Hammer. See if Hammer and
Okay.
Rachel can come back, and it's all,
I'm
it's
gonna-
love. You know,
Are
What
you
you like
gonna
being-
bring a significant other? I don't have anybody to bring.
we'll work it out. We'll see. I'll hire somebody.
bring it.
Not in that way. That sounded
I
horrible.
have a friend who's a gaffer.
Cut the
and
tape,
her
cut the
husband
tape.
is-
Wait, wait.
Yeah.
No, not yet.
We'll see you.
I
We'll
have
see
a
you
friend
next.
who's a gaffer and her husband is.
There you go. How I feel at lunch. This is how I was feeling
Yeah,
at
I
lunch.
was like, we're never gonna make it. We're gonna be here for the end of time.
Uh,
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on.
Bye.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great.
Thank
And we're out.
Yeah.
you. Do it. Still pushing us.
Stephanie's finished.
I really need to find a more concise way of telling my origins.
And I have food outside.
Here we go. Pictures up.
When you go into the industry, you
Pictures
want
up.
to
Everyone,
be
shut up.
performer.
Where are they? Quiet them down. Quiet them down.
You have to
Tuck in.
have
Props. Can you bring in the props?
the
Get
emotionally
out of there. I see
comfortable
there.
end.
I'm seeing there.
But it's also very delicate.
Does anyone see
Whatever,
Howie?
dude.
Where's Howie? Ready.
This
I'm
industry
ready to go.
is very sensitive.
Oh my God, how hard is this? Just bring it in.
A baby
We're ready.
gun.
We're
Always
ready.
come in with your baby gun.
Camera's swinging away.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.